Yes, good people. I appreciate you all finding the time to join the show this morning. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you. It's another Blue Morning show. After a while, we had to take a break so that I can refuel, be ready and fresh and ready to host the show properly. And as I should. But I'm more importantly, I appreciate you all finding the time to join today's Blue Morning show. We'll talk about whether Chelsea is whether we are. We're asking the question: Are Chelsea good enough? We'll try to answer that question, and then we'll talk about some news out there. You can say none of them, but one is a transfer news. But beyond that, we have other news items to address. But more importantly, I do hope you're all doing well, and I appreciate you all finding the time to join today's Blue Morning show. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the show. Yes, people, thank you so much for finding the time to join me on the show this morning. We don't have too many people in the chat already, just one person, and I'm going to say hello to the person. And that because that's how we operate here. We have a Bowie Julius. Big up, always nice to see you, brother. He says, good morning, coach. Good morning to you too. I hope you're doing well. Yep, I can't complain. I just had to take a break to, you say, recover because, yeah, I was burned out. I have to be honest with you. Chelsea all the way. I agree with you. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 3. Let's see if we're able to achieve that. But usually when people start by saying how we're going to beat a particular team, I'm usually concerned. But yeah, I don't trust this team that much to go to the extent of saying we'll beat a particular team by a certain number. But that's, by the way, I'm going to share the link to the panelists. So if anybody have time, they can keep me company here. Maybe join if they have time. I know bills don't pay themselves, so usually the panelists aren't available to join the conversation all the time. Just give me a second. I'll be back with you again. Let me share the link here. Let me see. Here you go. We have link there. I'm going to share the link. And I'm glad to announce that finally I got a response from Bobby. Let me see his response here, which is a good sign. But still, we still need to continue to pray for Bobby. He says, I hope I can join you on Thursday if I am discharged tomorrow, which implies that he was at the hospital when he wrote that particular message. So we'll continue to pray for you. We love you here, but more importantly, get well soon. The show will wait for you. It will not grow legs and run away. But more importantly, Bobby, I appreciate all the commitment. Yeah, thank you. So we don't have too much lined up. We have some news items lined up, and as soon as we knock them out, I think we should be as soon as we knock them out, we should call it a day. No need to waste time with that much to talk. It gets boring if that's the case. But we will start addressing the items one by one. So we'll start from this comment here to see Vince did share that. Give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can bring it over to the other window. Yeah, I like us to look at this particular comment here from Mauricio Pochettino. He's been quoted there by Vince, it's a big Chelsea account, which says Pochettino, we lost two players in Nkunku and Connie Chukwemeka that were in our plans, but we need to adapt, and that is why sometimes we change and try to find solutions with different players playing different positions. We are trying to find the best balance. I hope he does that as quickly as possible because fans are becoming more and more concerned, and they're blaming the structure for the lack of results in the last four games, which which to me I think it's a bit of misconception. People aren't paying attention to what the problems are really. We created a good enough chances to win some of those games, or at least get a draw in one of the games we lost. And yet people think the structure is the issue. I think we went just clinical in front of goal. And Christian Nutton, always nice to see you, brother. I appreciate you finding the time to join the show. We have just 7 likes and we're 11 minutes into the show. You can say 5, 6 of which are when we played the intro. But that's, by the way, to me, he better find a solution as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will get on the wrong side of the fans. And I don't want that to happen because I still believe he's the man for the job, given how many young players we have and how tactical he can be. Christo, I hope you're doing well. Thank you I appreciate you finding the time to join the show. And the first item here reads, let me look at it again. It reads, Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo are back in training at Cobham. Are they just joining today? If they're joining today, I don't know. I think maybe, let me not just go to the extent of saying maybe we're not going to see them play against Bournemouth. I think they will play. They're that important to us, and I don't think we have capable, you can say, deputies or maybe capable players who are capable of playing in their absence and still do well. But do I think the manager would do that? I think no, because these players are too important, and it looks like he trusts them more than some of those players. But good to see that we don't have any injury concerns during the international break. But I think I do recall seeing a tweet or maybe a report saying that 2 of our players had straps on their lapses while playing. On who was that? I think Caicedo had a strap, and who else? One more player on international duty had a strap while playing. But it doesn't look like it was anything serious. Since they're both, since all our players are back, and we haven't heard any reports of saying that any of them are injured. But that's why I appreciate you all finding the time to join the show. Once more, 7 likes already. Let's get the likes up. We can do better than that. Let's see whether we can get to 100 by the time the show ends. Usually, after the transfer window shuts, it's difficult to get people aren't that much interested in and live shows anymore. But that's, by the way, we move on. Let's go to the next item we have lined up here. Just give me 1 second. The next item here talks about Trevoh Chalobah, an interesting one. He's a player I really would want to stay at Chelsea. He's committed to the cause. Unfortunately, for some reason, I don't know why the club, it just seems as if they're pushing him out, or maybe something has happened between him and the club's hierarchy, because he really did push to join Bayern Munich. But unfortunately, a lot of people aren't going to see that. So we have somebody who's provided us with the information who the other guy that had the strap was. It was Modric. Was the other one. Thank you so much, Maxwell Clips. I appreciate you finding the time to join. Good morning to you all once more. Good afternoon or good evening to you, depending on where you are. I appreciate you providing that information. But they're all both back in training. Modric and Moises Caicedo are both back in training right now, and it doesn't look like they're carrying nothing, any injuries. So that's some good news for us. So just give me 1 second. Let me take care of something quickly here. I'll be right back with you. So for one part, I'm going to keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. It looks like it's going to be a slow day, but we can try and get it to at least 50 likes. That will go a long way. Let me see. I'm looking for this here. And this guy here. Yep. Thank you so much, people. Let's see the next item. Okay, let's address this one first. As I said, Trevoh Chalobah is a player, actually a better defender than, you can say. Let me just be specific here. You can say he's a better defender than Chilwell for me. Chilwell may be better on the ball or a better passer of the ball. He's better than even more Wesley Fofana. But that, again, that is my opinion. He's better than Wesley Fofana defensively. Fofana may be better at ball carrying and all that. And he's special for me because he's committed. He's always been there, but maybe he's chosen to leave because he feels like the defensive department for Chelsea is crowded right now. Maybe he find it difficult to find again time. I think the whole thing started with how you can say Graham Potter treated him. He was one of our best defenders before World Cup, and after the World Cup, what happened? I honestly just cannot tell why he got dropped to the bench. So this reads: Chelsea would be willing to let Trevoh Chalobah go in January. They had even sent Bayern Munich a draft contract on deadline day and were ready to loan Chalobah out of around 2.5 million without an option an option to buy. But Bayern bosses decided against the move in the end, much to the disappointment of Thomas Tuchel. A January move is therefore unlikely. So probably he will end up going to some other club and not Bayern Munich. And Nottingham, was it Nottingham Forest that was serious? I think they presented an offer of around 25 million pounds. But Chelsea, the player himself, went too keen to join Nottingham Forest, and maybe that infuriated the Chelsea hierarchy. You could argue who were looking also to make money to help balance the books, or maybe make other player purchases. We don't know. But more importantly, keep dropping the likes on the stream. And if you're still in the chat, I want to hear your opinion. What do you make of the Trevoh Chalobah issue? Is it concerning to you, or would you, let me say, would you like the club to keep him, or you're one of those calling for the club to sell him? For me, I think would be better of keeping him. I'm not too sure. Again, I get it. You can say I followed Decisive. I knew about him even before we signed him. But the truth remains, I think he's still, again, he's had a shaky start to life at Chelsea, but I think he'll still come good. But even at that, look at the numbers we're having. If Thiago Silva won't be playing that much, we should keep Chalobah. And plus, Chalobah differs from all the players we have. He brings a bit of aggression to that defensive line. He's not as soft as all the players there. I know Disasi can be physical. He's huge too. But none of them, Disasi, Levi Colwell, Ben Webber-Sheila, none of them can be as aggressive as Chalobah can be. And for me, in my opinion, I think you need a mix of aggression, ball playing defenders, and all that to have a perfect balance. But let's see what happens. And I've seen other reports also saying something to the effect of Chalobah, that Chalobah may never get to play for Chelsea Football Club again. Do I think that will happen? I honestly do not know. So if you're watching, this is not the match preview. This is not the match prediction. We'll do that tomorrow morning, just a few hours. We'll do that. I think on Sunday, actually, a few hours before kickoff. That's the plan. So we'll still do another Blue Morning show tomorrow. Before the one we usually do on match day proper. Christian Norton says, after these 2 weeks break, I hope Poch don't play some stupid lineup. Here's the thing. I'm going to say this. I think I did say that yesterday during the Blue Alliance show. Here's the thing. The international break for Chelsea actually isn't a good thing. It is a good thing for mid-table teams, or you can say bottom-table teams that don't have too many internationals. But for Chelsea, we have too many internationals. If anything, the international break creates a problem for the manager. He has to more like start afresh after the break, or maybe he has to go with younger players or least experienced players after the break who didn't travel, because traveling can weigh on the players that much, jet lag and all that. So for Chelsea Football Club, international breaks aren't a good thing for us, the fans, or maybe if you understand football, or if you understand the fact that we have too many internationals, which means during international breaks, we have lots of our starting players that travel, and that can be problematic for the manager. And yeah, so but sometimes because you can say because we were, you can say we weren't. It hasn't been, you can say, a good season for us so far. That's how some people see it. So to them, the international break is a welcome relief. But actually, in reality, it's a problem for the manager because practically he'd end up hitting the reset button. But I hope that's not the case. I think we have just 2 days now to train before the game proper. But that's, by the way, and Jack Hodge saying it's going to be Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Yeah, as I've said, I'm not sure what the outcome of the game is going to be. We're not here to talk about the game right now. We get to talk about the game maybe tomorrow, and also game day proper when we usually do the not that we also do the pregame show, game day proper when we usually do the prediction show. Maybe that's the day we'll get to talk about that. But that's, by the way, thank you so much for joining Jack Eyes, Chris Show, Maxwell Clips, and also Away with Julius. I appreciate you also. We have to move on to the next item. And if you're interested in telling me why you think Chelsea should sell or keep Trevoh Chalobah, you go ahead and do so. It'd be interesting to see what you have to say. Let me see if anything new has emerged. We don't have too much to talk about, but if anything new emerges, we'll most definitely discuss it. Let me see. And the press, yeah, I think we'll do. This will be this particular show, conversation slash the managers press conference. Let's see what else we have here. If anything has emerged. Wow, this is really concerning. So let me open this. I hope it's not an issue. Uh, because I've been hearing rumors that Armando Broja has had a setback. I'm not sure whether to believe that or not, but two items have just emerged, and we'll look at them in a bit. Just give me 1 second. I have to open them up. While I wait for that Twitter page to open here. Okay, this particular one. Um, Maybe the manager's he's decided to give him a day break, but it's so concerning. But let's talk about it before we move on here. This item here, report here, is saying, just give me 1 second here. Yeah, players missing from CFC's session today. Armando Broja, Benoit Badiashile, and Romeo Lavia. Romeo Lavia certainly is out injured. But Benoit Badiashile, I think he's been training and we didn't hear anything. Maybe the manager, maybe he grilled them. Maybe they've had a gruesome, you could say, training sessions. And the manager decided to give them a break today. I'm sure if they've both suffered a setback, I'm talking about Armando Broja and Benoit Badiashile, we get to hear about that today. So, but I'm not that concerned. But Romeo Lavia, yeah, we already know that he's injured and will not be available for a while. But that's by the way. Let's move on to the next item we have lined up here, and this is Jakai says a Poch will stick to his lineup and style. In his perspective, Chelsea are creating lots of chances. Lots of chance. Have good XG. Only problem is finishing. That is not a problem. He says um, that is not a problem of a coach. That's the area with the players. I think I agree with you. And you're sounding like a Roger this time, who will always say execution is the problem. And when execution is the problem, then you don't have to blame the manager. And I've looked at all those games. I've had a second look at each of them. Even some of them I've watched like 4 or 5 times. And the truth remains, execution was where the issue again. We went clinical in front of goal. And it's as simple as that. But because people, they want results. Once they don't see result, they don't care. They find something to blame. And in this case, a lot of people are blaming the structure the manager used during those games. And as much as I've argued the Bencho shouldn't be operating the way he did during those games, that's not me saying that he was the reason why we didn't win some of the games. So again, we should have won, or maybe some of the games, or one of the reason why we drew against Liverpool. No, I haven't argued that. I don't think the structure has again I don't think the structure was the reason why we haven't done as well as a lot of people expect us to do. But that's by the way. I'm going to move on. I have a panelist here with me. I'm going to catch up with what we have in the chat. And so you're very correct. Chances are the manager will stick to that. We stick to the three at the back starting structure, but we must pay attention to the fact that it's a hybrid approach. Not really. The question I've always asked is why is a Benchua operating as a winger when he's a wing back, or you can say a full back. But good point right there. A big up to you too, Tony Tiger. I appreciate you finding the time to join. Big up, coach and panel. Jacob Hoggins, I appreciate you joining. I personally don't like what Chelsea is doing to Chalo. I think we should be cautious when we talk about what's you can say when we look at situations like Chelsea, we should be very cautious. I don't think Chelsea are pushing him out. I think Chalo is decided to leave. Given how many defenders we have, he wants to be starting week in, week out. He don't want a situation where he sits on the bench for a few games and then get to play every now and then. I think that's the case. And we've always known that that's the case. Sassi, that he's going to look to leave the club. Yes, he's never really found a spot in the starting team. However, every time we need a guy to fill in, he's that guy. indeed okay, no matter where. I think I agree with you. He's versatile. He's shown that he can actually play in the right back position. But beyond that, to me, I'd argue he's a better defender than Fofana, and even to me right now, a better defender than Liverpool. Liverpool is just better on the ball and a better passer of the ball. But that's just my opinion. I'm gonna come to you, Martin. Nice to see you as always. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
Finding
big
the
up.
time to join the Blue Morning Show this morning. Did you hear anything, let's say, about why Armando Broja and Benoit Badiashile are both missing from today's you said this morning's a training session.
I haven't seen any update, regarding that. I was checking some of the posts on the Chelsea account, but
Yeah.
it's all speculation at this point. So we just have to wait to hear the press conference and, see what the real updates are.
And that's a chance that the manager might have decided to give them both a break.
Yeah, and because we should remember they've been training, 2 weeks prior to this date. So, they might want to just tone it down to maybe integrate the international players today and maybe down some personnel drills or something. But we just have to wait for the update on that.
Yeah, I want to again thank you so much for that. I want to get your thoughts on the Trevoh Chalobah situation. What do you make? What do you make of
Yeah.
it? You've heard somebody in the chat say that he doesn't like. Yeah, that's it. It's still on the screen there. That's
Yeah.
Norton saying I personally don't like what Chelsea is doing to Chalo. I did tell him that I don't think that's the case. He wants to leave. That's how I see it. But how about you?
So people need to, take a step back and, follow the timeline of events, because I feel like we all forget about how everything unfolded during the summer. We started the summer with Badiashile injured and Koulibaly out. So that means Chalobah had a place in this team, and that was, evident in starting the preseason, being a captain, and all of that. And people still wanted him out, but it was okay. So now Fofana got injured. Now Fofana getting injured was a big deal, which means Chalobah was definitely going to stay, and there were no offers. There was nothing about his transfer or whatever. So now the twist comes in when he also gets injured. Now, a club losing one centre back due to a transfer, losing Badiashile due to injury, losing Fofana due to injury, and now losing Chalobah due to injury. That's 3 centre backs due to injury, with return date a month after the start of the season or even longer. Now they have to get someone. This is where we went out of our way and got the Disasi. Disasi was an injury signing to fill in for those 3 centre backs. So Chalobah's situation now was a 50-50. If you want to stay, you can stay and fight, but there will be a situation where most of the centre backs will be back and be fit, so it might be long. Or you can take a good offer and to a decent team and you can go. So it was a 50-50 situation. So now offers came in from Nottingham Forest and from Bayern. He was happy to go to Bayern. The deal didn't, work out for his good.
But he wasn't too
And
keen to join Nottingham Forest.
exactly. And he wasn't stuck into where he would have been playing more often. So that's the 50-50 situation. So now Chelsea were happy to send him to whichever club, that is willing to pay for his fee. Now Bayern weren't willing because they didn't value him at that level, which was what, 25 million pounds. For a club like Bayern, that shouldn't be a big deal. And by the way, he's also probably also going to be on the bench at Bayern. But it's a 50-50 situation. Now, the problem comes in when the media has seen this as an avenue to attack the owners about. Now, the owners are very nonchalant about who gets sold or who doesn't get sold. People seem to always want to make it about the Cobham boys. Yes, there is the pure profit avenue, but they've accepted offers for almost anyone, to be honest. If you come in with a good offer, it will be accepted. It will be. So it's not a situation of, oh, they're forcing
Beyond
him or they're
what
not.
you the reasons again what you've just explained. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. I was going to ask
And
you beyond
again,
what you've just explained. How do you
there
rate
is,
him?
yeah, my rating of him is that he's decent and he can do a decent job. The issue I have about this is the media seem to have a lot of insider information about just Chalobah deal, which seems like it's a prop or in a way to just pit him against the owners and then still because you can't do that and still remain. And if you're remaining, you have to remain with competition in front of you. Now, bearing in mind, that's really, really steep competition, given Thiago is still playing at this moment. Now, if he wasn't, then you say maybe no, but it is serious. But that is competition he looked at and decided to not go to Nottingham Forest for. So let's be really, really honest about this. And the Disasi was gotten because of the injuries we had. So it wasn't a useless signing; it was a necessary signing at the time.
So you was
So that
you were saying that this IC wasn't a priority signing, it was just because we had injuries and we needed numbers in that area.
exactly, we had three centre backs injured, three, not one, not two. We had three centre backs injured, so we needed a body. We needed someone. Humphreys was looked at, but maybe they felt he wasn't ready at the time. And as you can see, Disasi was thrown into the first game without a preseason, without anything, and he did an okay job. So people now trying to find faults and all that. That's by the way. But this situation has been a very, very balanced situation. The club is happy for him to compete, but they're happy for him to go for 25 million. The player is happy to compete, or maybe not to compete in that way, given the players in front of him seem to be a bit more competent, to most people's eyes. And now he needs to go. It's not that the club is pushing him. Still, they would like it, but also for his own career, for his own benefit, he needs to take the tomorrow step, the Loftus-Cheek step, to get yourself to a new level, get yourself to a new height. But the idea of the media making this about a Todboli, making this about the academy, it seems like they're drawing a portion of the fan base that wants to be angry just because of the Cobham sales. And I think
Let's be more specific here. If we say the media, we seem like we're talking about non-Chelsea aligned outlets. My biggest issue is with the content creators who can
yeah,
say the construct of their brand is made up of, you can say, peddling or maybe
mm-hmm,
spreading the negativity. It just
yeah,
doesn't help. But go ahead with what you were saying.
exactly. Like it is driving the fan base toxic in that way. It is
Hmm.
making people really, really, really toxic about the idea that Cobham players will always be sold. Offers came in for Levi, and the manager and the club says he was not for sale. They didn't put a price. So
Because they
it's not
value him.
about exactly, and it's all about the quality of the players. Now, as much as we see Chalobah having a decent game here and there, we've also seen the sides of his game as well, and we know it's manageable. But now, if the club sees 25 million, which they will accept, and
Hmm.
bearing in mind, if someone comes in and gives us 50 million for the Sassy or 45, even we may consider accepting that because we have numbers in that area. If Al Hilal gives us 20 million for Thiago Silva, we will accept that. So it's not just about Cobham, 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 but they're creating this narrative and it's going to turn the fan base a little toxic on that regard.
It's happening already, and
It
unfortunately,
will.
I hate to name names, and I'm not going to do that. I think Chelsea content creators are actually guilty of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. With again, this if you ask me, I'd argue they should be using their platforms to educate their fans and be
exactly.
objective with whatever content they present to the fan base to consume. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. I'll come back to you again. I don't know if were you still talking.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, this is a very balanced issue. There is
Mhm,
steep competition, there is profit to be made, and the player needs to look after his own career as well.
mhm,
So, if he's still getting offers from Bayern, it means you're a decent player. Other clubs might be interested. Other high top level clubs might also be interested. So
mhm.
look at that and move on. You don't need to make the media come in to support you and say they're forcing you out. It's not needed.
Yeah,
It's not
releasing, you can
needed.
say posting cryptic messages and all that.
Yeah, all the
Uh,
Simon Johnsons, the Isles Goldbergs, all of them, and this all happened
mhm,
together. It's almost like it's a briefing from a section, and that wouldn't come from the club because why would the club want to hurt itself?
mhm.
So if the player has any part to do with this, it is not going to be beneficial because the competition is Badia Chile, the competition is the Sassi, the competition is Levi Cowell, And unless you pitch yourself to beat that competition, you need to look after your own career, making it toxic, making it about Cobham, making it about the owners forcing you out. I don't think that will work well. So that's just my take on the whole thing. It is a
Yeah,
very
I
balanced
don't think
issue.
either. Unfortunately, these guys don't care. But despite the way, let me catch up with what we have in the chat there, then I'll come back to you again. We have a few items to address, and we get into the topic, the main topic of topics of the today's show. But thank you for that, Chris Show. I appreciate that contribution there. Chalobah
Yeah,
is a
big
good
dog.
player, not a very good one. Chelsea should sell him and get the money. This is the right time to sell Chalo. That will give space for another youngster like Humphreys. Humphreys he's already gone out on loan,
Oh,
hasn't he? Yeah.
I
Hmm.
want to say this. If fans that are split about this, they should just ask themselves: if
Hmm.
we had Levi Colwell, Thiago Silva, Disasi, and Badia Shile, would you go out of your way to sign a Chalobah for 25 million? If your answer is no, then it tells you exactly where the club side is. If the answer
Hmm.
is yes, then why would you need 25 million to be a fifth choice?
Yeah, I do agree with you. Let's see. I'll come back to you in a bit again. But thank you for that contribution, Jakad. Rick Kane, but saying Gallagher, Cucurella, Chalobah need to be sold so we can get a new striker. Wow. We can't sell them now. We have to wait until January, even if the club decides to sell those players you just listed there. Currently, we have a lot of decent or above average defenders. Until proven otherwise, I think maybe you could argue that. Um, um, and now Chelsea will be looking for an excellent defender with leadership quality to replace Silva. We can hold on to many decent defenders. Some will be sold. I think the Sassi has that quality. He's led from Monaco and is played alongside what's his name, Benoit Berteshila at Monaco. But let's see what the club does. Let me ask you this, Martin. Do you think he's capable of leading the back line in the absence of Thiago Silva? I think he can. Um,
Yeah.
I get it. He's had a shaky start to life at Chelsea, which you could argue down to him not being part of the preseason in the United States. Plus, these games let's just count them as his preseason games for Chelsea, in my opinion. But you go ahead. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be, always glamorous. Like he's had a decent showing. It's a 6/10. It's underwhelming, but
Hmm.
it's nothing disastrous. And given the Premier League is a tough league, you'll be coming off against strikers, really, really potent strikers, either physically or technically. And
Hmm.
if you can stand your ground, which he is standing his ground, then we can go from there. We don't need it to be a masterclass now. It could be a masterclass later in February, in March, when you're more settled. So from the showing, it's been decent. Now being a leader and all of these things, we can't tell right now. I don't think we can. You know, and we don't understand the combinations from the back line, Cowell, Thiago, and how all that will play out. But
So you
I
think the
see,
manager is still experimental in terms of the centre back pairing?
yes, and he's trying to be really conservative about that. And if that's his approach,
Hmm.
then that's fine. And if that works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, then questions will be asked. But so far, so good. The centre backs they've been competent. We just need to fix up and get certain other things right as well.
And if you don't mind, what would be your ideal pairing?
My ideal pairing would be Badia Shile and Cowell. And I know most people would say left footer can't play on the right
No,
side, but
beyond their foot, beyond the you can say their dominant foot. Let's say this. Let's be honest here. I think they're both similar. The only thing Bad Yeshila has over Liverpool is his ability to read the game. He's excellent at reading the game, and every you could say he's better. And they're both excellent passer. Again, they can excellent at passing. You can say they have excellent passing ability. Two of them. Um,
yeah.
don't you think they're
And
too similar to pair them? Forget about their respective favorite food, or maybe their respective, you can say, dominant feet. But I want to hear from you.
yes, they're quite similar, but I see. one, age, and two, the fact that if they build on, a really, really strong chemistry at this young age, will be able to carry that into their 25s and into their primes and their peaks. First, I get the whole similarities in playing styles, and profiles and all of that, but I see the partnership to be lasting longer than any other partnership we might think of. I think the
Mm.
Sassi won't be here for more than 2 years or 3 years. He's 25 already. So the club might be looking to cash in that down, down the line. And I feel like if indeed we give Cowell and Badiashile, which are still we're still playing for the under 21s last year, then we're looking to build in a really, really strong partnership, combined with the players around them. By that I mean in the Caicedos and in the Gustos, because all of them are still quite young and still in the around the same age range. And that could be, the bedrock we need to push on. Now it's quite similar to Bonucci and Cellini. They're quite similar, still a bit, similar in the way they defend, but if you
Yeah,
get it
those are
right.
two players that you can't. It's difficult to find out how they differ, really.
Exactly. It's just the same guy copied twice. But
Yet they
like I
were
said,
excellent pairing
yes,
for Italy and Juve. Yeah.
sometimes the pairing works if they're similar, sometimes it works if they're different. Of course, would like, a little bit of compensating for the other's abilities, but I think both of them are can be complete in a way with levels of development still, coming down the line. And after watching them for this long, I think we can make it work. And the earlier we start, the better for the club in the long term.
All right, let's move on to the next item we have lined up here. I appreciate you, Martin. Always nice to have you on the panel here. Let's see what we have lined up next so we can move on and get them knocked out and then discuss the main items we have lined up for today. Let me see what we have here. Okay, let's go for it. This signing here excites me. Nothing new. I think the moment we started looking at him, I did my research. What a talent! Chelsea board members traveled to South America to secure the deal for Kendrick Pies. Chelsea believe they have a gem. I don't need anybody to tell us this. Really, the kid, if you watch him play, he's well mature beyond his age, and you think it'd be easy to you can say to muscle him off the ball, but that isn't the case. Honestly, I don't know, Martin. I want to hear you talk about
Yeah,
because I like to listen to you analyze players. What do you make?
yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, he was such, yeah, like it was such a breath of fresh air. I had to stay up late to watch the Ecuador
oh, you
games, and
watched the game. I only watched the
yes,
highlights. He
yes.
was he
Oh
was just
no, no, no.
brilliant.
On how Di Maria was in Real Madrid, on how he moved, everything, the intelligence, the eye for pass, switches, even to the other side of the field, like
Hmm.
everything up. He was just, and they kept on hitting him and kicking him, and he just get up like Hazard, just pull his socks, like he wasn't pained, and that's like just seeing the touches, the movements, the intelligence of the player, and then you have to now remind yourself that he's 16, like he's still 16. It's such a big one, honestly. Like he is such a big one.
Yeah, I
And
am marveled at his intelligence at a very young age. Honestly, um,
yes.
hopefully again we don't mismanage him. That's always my concern when we sign such young players, such a young player. But I think they know what they have.
Hmm.
They will find a good program for him to follow, and then gradually integrate him into the first team. But go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, and I would like to give big thumbs up to whoever's been scouting, especially from last year's October to like this June.
Hmm.
With the Casade, the Santos, the Pies, like those signings have been top notch. And we've seen other young talents also come into the fray of things, and it's just amazing to see that we have those scouts. And I think that's the best part of everything we are doing right now, is the fact that we know with those scouts we can make better decisions in the future. you know Getting Piers at such an age, getting him for the fee we got him for, like they could literally slap a 60 million, and I think most clubs will still be interested. So he's such a revelation, and I just can't wait. We can't wait, honestly. We just can't wait. Well, see him 2026.
Yeah. Just to address our concern, you think he joins the first team in 2026? He'd be 18 plus then, right?
Yes, I think he's gonna come in and he'll be looking to double with the academy. So that's the PL2, like Diego Moreira is doing right now. He could play the PL2 and then maybe come in. But if he's this good, I think we'll be looking to use him in the first team as well. But
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
To
yeah.
address our fear that Benoit Badeshile and Armando Broja, because we learned that they both did not participate in this morning's during this morning's training session. The report says, according to Nizaki Sela, Chelsea have taken an ultra cautious approach to Benoit Badeshile and Amanda Broja's return and will likely wait until Aston Villa's visit to Stamford Bridge next week before playing them. It means they will miss Sunday's trip to Bournemouth. I think it's a good thing not to rush them back in a hurry
Yeah.
and then risk a setback. So I agree with that approach there. So let's see what else we have here. I like Badishila than Cowell. Badia has a flair. They both do. They both have you can say excellent passing ability, and I won't go to the extent of comparing them both. But if I have to choose, I'll choose about Badiashile. Badiashile is a kind of defender who puts a fear in opposition's mind. I don't think he's that aggressive. I just know he's excellent on the ball and he's a good passer of the ball. Beyond that, yeah, and he reads the game very well. But I don't think he's aggressive. But you don't have to have both. If you're an intelligent player, you don't have to be aggressive. In the case of I don't want to get into where areas that I think what's his name Cohen needs to improve, but we'll talk about that some other time. Hi to you too, Tango Rido. I hope you're doing well. Been a while. The last time, yeah, you've been here, but yeah, been a while. The last time we were live too. I have to say that too. Vic, if Mudrik has the intelligence of pies, it will be a different story. Okay, some argument right there, but nice to see you, Vic. 2025, not 2026. Is that when Pies would join us? Okay, even to me, it's just a year difference, so it doesn't matter. Diego Morilla is on loan at Leon, by the way. Yeah, that's the truth. I forgot that too. Yep. Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo are back at Cobham. We did talk about that, but Julius, I thank you also for bringing it up again. Cobham and training with a Chelsea squad today. Nice to hear that. Let's move on to the next item we have lined up here. I'm excited about Kendrick Price, and I hope to see him join us in 2 years' time. Or yeah, 20 was it 2025 or in it? Let's see what year did he mention there. Okay, in 2025. That's it. Just a bit above. You can say a little bit more than a year, and that's not. Yeah, it's not like a thousand years. So let's move on to the next item. Raheem Sterling is at the top of the list for most touches inside the opponent's box so far this season in Europe's top 7 leagues. How many goals has he scored this season in total? Is it 3? I can't quite
Yes,
remember.
I think
Partner,
so.
you how many goals in total from him? So I don't think this is anything. You could say anything special or something to be that excited about. Um, no, 49 touches. That's not too much in my opinion. And I think if you have to look at it, compare it to how many goals he scored, I think pretty much balanced. He's been effective this season for us. Actually,
Yeah.
you could say one of our most effective players. So I wouldn't say. I think yeah, I think he's done well so far this season. But Martin, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, like Sterling is back. Is quite back to what we are familiar with, and it's exactly what I was saying during the preseasons when everyone was like, we should sell him, and I was like, no, we need the best version of him, and if the coach, banks on that, then there is a player in there, and there is a player that can get 15 to 20 goals in this league, and we need that. We need that to get to where we want to get to, which is the top 4.
Hmm.
So it's quite nice that all of that paid off and he's stepped up, and he's doing what we're familiar with. So we just need more players to be on that wavelength. We need more players to, step up as well and get their acts together because he's really leading the line, and this is the version of Sterling we paid for. This is the version of Sterling we love to see. And with this kind of Sterling, anything is possible. Anything, and we'll be getting penalties from it, free kicks, and all sorts. There are lots of benefits from that. So yeah, love to see it.
Yeah, not bad, not a bad number. And if you compare that to his output in total, you can say in terms of goals he scored so far, yeah, I think he's been excellent for us, honestly. As much as he's not my favorite player, one of my favorite players. Julius Almo says a breaking news that there are serious plans for Chelsea, Chelsea's ownership to take a minority stake in the sport in Lisbon. Okay, that's the list of my concerns right now, honestly. The real problem is Chalo wasn't even a CB. He was a CDM. Excuse me. He was a CDM, but
Bless him.
Tuchel placed him there due to injury at the right centre back, which is one of the hardest spots. The hard spot you face. Most of the skillful wingers are etc. I don't know. I think Chalobah,
Not true.
during
He
his
was
long
always a
spell
centre back.
in the French league, he played as a CB, didn't he? I don't
Maybe
know,
he's
Martin.
remembering
Can you
his
weigh into
brother.
that?
Yeah, maybe he's remembering his brother who was Nathana, who was the DM.
Yeah, Nathaniel
But
Chalobah. Yeah,
Trev was always a centre back, and he
yeah.
started.
So,
He,
yeah,
he
I
had his
get maybe
debut.
some. I've heard people argue that he's played as a DM before, but maybe not that many times. Maybe, but go ahead if you were still talking, Martin.
Yeah, I think people just kind of remember his bro for it because they both write Chalobah and they just have that similarity. Although, yes, maybe you can put him there for 10 minutes to do a job and he'll do a decent job. But he had his debut at the bridge, he scored the banger at right centre back and he's been playing there ever since. So yeah, I don't think it's about future or anything.
Yeah, and I think he's a good player, but let's see what happens with his future. Data FC. That's the same reason Chilwell is still playing as left wing. The manager needs to train him. Needs to train again, impact and trust our wingers. Isn't that correct, Coach? That is correct. But here's the thing. I think when I think if I've taken my time to look at it and you say I've come to the conclusion that he's playing the players who those players with the defensive instincts first of all, or in that positions, in those two positions, like the right wing and left wing, because he wants a balance. He wants you can say he wants a good balance between playing attacking football and also being defensively cautious because he has, and you can say an entire he has a new team, and chemistry is a problem. And when you have that issue, chances are you experience a mix up here and there between players, and that can lead to your team conceding goals. I think we've seen some every now and then we've seen some disjointed instances when we play against in the matches we played, and that's not surprising to me. I've always expected that to be the case because we have, you can say, an entirely new team, in my opinion. Martin, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. Okay, looks like,
Um,
yeah, go ahead if you.
sorry. Yeah, like he has an idea of what he wants to do. I think the concern most people have with the situation is if the idea is not being executed well, if the idea is not working, if it's not giving you the desired output, then what are you gonna do about it? So I think that's where the concern is. Like most coaches can have an idea and all of that, but if you're trying to implement that in 4 games and you're still not seeing the benefit of that, and then as soon as you're losing to Nottingham Forest, that's when you
Mhm.
decide to bring in the wingers. So were you concerned the idea wasn't good enough to get you back? Or do you actually believe in whatever you're trying to implement? So now seeing Chilwell do what he's been doing for 60 minutes is painful enough. So now a coach who has an idea with him could bring him in to say, oh, this is what I want you to do to but he just seems to just leave it, and I think that's where people's concern is about the whole situation. But we'll see how it goes, and then we'll see if things change. But
And are you one of those that think the structure he's been using is the problem?
no, but the thing is, the problems within the structure just don't seem to be changing. We struggle from a whole lot of things, and I think that's where the concern is yes, you might have a structure, you might have a system, but if you've looked at the system after 2 or 3 games and it's not working in the way, and you see where the problem is at, or the areas that can be improved to make it work better, either personnel, either adjusting things or that, you make those changes. I think the issue is he's not doing anything about it. He's just throwing it back out there and hoping it's different. And that's where the concern is with the whole team and with the whole system. So as much as we might criticize it for not getting the results, as much as he might see it having the possession and the control that he might be looking at and maybe miss chances, I think there is a balance. There is a
And
balance
and
that,
the numbers are suggesting that you could say had we been clinical, we'd be talking
yeah,
about different outcomes.
exactly. And it's all a matter of, of fine margins. But if there's anything to take out of it, I think there are certain things that can easily just make the system a bit better, make the system more progressive. And an example of that would be Enzo playing next to Caicedo to progress the ball faster and quicker, and keeping a number 10 who would actually be a specialist in breaking down low blocks and stuff. So this might be like little subtle changes here, there, and everywhere to just tweak the system if he wants to persist with the system. So, or bringing in a Martin for Chilwell who might have better attacking impetus about him. So the little things that can be done, but we just don't want you to throw it back out and just leave it. So I think that's where people's concern and frustration is with the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it makes sense. Let's see what else we have here. Christo Nutton says that right now all the pressure is on Poch. I don't think he's in that much pressure right now, if any at all, honestly, because he claims he can develop young talents, and I am not seeing any improvement in any of our young players. Only Sterling looking great, other than him. Anyway, if that's how you see it. And Robin Mount says, Coach, we need to play attacking. This idea of preserving or worrying is nonsense. Just attack. It's the only way to win and implement chemistry. I think here's the thing. As much as you could say you could argue that he's been a bit cautious. He's trying to play with balance between being offensive and also being defensively cautious. At the same time, you could argue that if we had more attacking players on the pitch, that the outcome you could say could have been different. But you never know. Let's see. Vic here says Colwell is not overlapping as a left back. Remove a CB and return Chile to the left back position. He can still provide the same attacking support. I think I agree with you. I don't have an issue with the structure, but I honestly do think Chilwell shouldn't be playing in the left wing position. That's according to if you pay attention to the application, if looking beyond the structure. But that's just me. Let's move on to the next item we have lined up here. I appreciate you all and thank you for 24 likes. That's not easy. Things have slowed down a bit, but we can do better than 24 likes. If you haven't, please take a second, drop a like on the stream. People, appreciate you all. And for those of you that are watching, but for one reason or the other, not able to participate in the chat, we appreciate you. You watching alone does provide a great value to the community. But if you can take a second to drop a like on the stream, we'd really appreciate that. So let's move on. FIFA Best Awards, Chelsea Women nominations. That's excellent. At least something to you can say to celebrate. Emma Hayes, Women's Manager of the Year, Women's Goalkeeper of the Year, on Catherine Berger and Zasira Musovic, Women's Player of the Year, Sun Kerr, and Lauren James. I don't know. Anything you want to add to this one, Martin, or should I just move on?
Yeah, I mean, just congrats to the ladies for doing their thing, and also with with on the international stage as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, just big up to the ladies and getting the recognition and the flowers that we know they deserve. So big up to them.
Yeah, big up to them indeed. That's not easy. Let's see what else we have here. Let's just move on to this one here, which says Nani Madwick is personal trainer Saul Isaacson. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that name, or Isaacson. Says that Nani is very similar to Ian Robin in that he likes to cut inside onto his left foot from the right hand side. That is one of his super strengths. We talked about that and how doing that also opens up the possibility of running down the outside. Defenders are are so conscious of his threat inside a threat. Okay, defenders are so conscious of his threat inside that it opens up the right channel. I don't know. This is what this. I think this is your sort of thing. I don't know if you have anything to add to it, Martin. If you're there.
Yeah, and this is, it's just PR, PR talk, and I don't know if any of this is necessary now, but it's nice, to hear
He's
some of
trying to
these things.
impress the Pochettino. Is that what you think?
Yeah, and just creating, some talk and attention on the player. So maybe indeed people remember, some of the good sides of things. But I think Noni has one very, very key thing. His dribble and his dribble success rates are very high. So if a coach sees that and can implement that and find ways to create an application for that within his system, then wonderful. And he's there with Gusto, who's brilliant. We know, at overlapping and crossing and finding the players in the box. So a really deadly combination can be formed on our right side. But that
Mhm.
was where Sterling was getting most of his goodwill. Will that be similar if he goes to the left wing? Which we don't know. But I mean, at some point, we would love to see that combination and see us playing that way. So it is an interesting one. But I think all of this talk is just to create some attention around the player, remind Poch that he still has a right winger who's got really wonderful attributes, and fans to just ease back a bit. I think people often go at players they haven't heard much of in a while. People forget the fact that Noni was injured and he wasn't available for preseason, and he's just coming back to fitness. Not just
From the under
not
20 again after returning from the under 20
yeah,
tournament.
20, yeah.
Is it
So
under 21? Was it under 21 or under 20? I don't know,
under
but it doesn't
21,
matter. Yeah.
yeah, under 21 with Palmer. So this is just a side of things that I think people just need to just calm down, be patient, and just let the managers and these players do what they think. And it's quite similar to this Modric thing because people seem to forget that he was injured for the previous week, and he's just got back and he got some minutes here and there. So it's almost like once you get injured, people forget and they just call you bad, I think. So I think fans just needs to just relax and just let things just play out in the natural way. And yes, PR is good, so no problem.
Yeah, let's
We'll
let's
wait.
get into this one straight away. It says Mauricio Pochettino has discussed using Ben Chilwell as a winger. Let's see here. It's interesting. All the coaching staff feel disappointed when you lose players to injury. Of course, it affects the team, but we need to accept it and adapt. I'm not sure where he's taking that to. I don't think the absence of Nkunku should be the reason why Ben Chilwell starts as a winger while we have Modric. It just doesn't make sense. We need to find solutions with different players playing in different positions to try to get the best balance. Balance, yeah, I get it. It's about balance. I've always suspected that's the case, but he shouldn't be mentioning players being out injured as the reason why Ben Chilwell is playing as a winger. It just doesn't make sense to me. Ben is a fullback who can help the team in a different position. In 4 games, he's created more. Yeah, here's the excuse. I think somebody in the chat already said that. Because of this, because of the number of chances we've created, the XGs and all that, he was probably continue playing with the three at the back structure, and maybe we still see Ben Chilwell operate as a winger rather than a fullback or a wingback. In 4 games, he's created more chances than any player in the national team last week. Ben played in a similar position. We're in trouble. It looks like given this, you can say that last paragraph there, it looks like we still continue to see the structure. But I've said it before. I don't think the structure is a problem, but it divides the fan base. I'm not sure what to make of this. Make of this particular report there. But if you're there, Martin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is, it's quite an interesting one, and it's a conundrum that needs to work out for him, you know. Like, everyone is allowed to, implement their ideas in how they think the team should be and all of that.
Hmm.
But if it's not working, that is where the concern is. If it's not working, which we've seen it not to be working, what then? What happens then? So that's where the
Hmm.
concern is. And we've seen Chilwell, we see what he does is pass back, pass back, pass back, and then have those run into the box, and then a high ball from long or whatever. We can be more than that. That's what people feel. However, if the coaches feel, that's the way he wants to approach the game and how he wants to play, that's fine. But if it's not working, what then? And I think that's where the concern is, because we've seen that it's inefficient at best. Yes, he's creating more chances. Can't you also create the same amount of chances if Sterling was playing there and None was playing on the other side, or if Palmer was playing there, or other players were playing there? Can Matson create almost similar chances, or even offer better, given he had a good chemistry and good combinations with Jackson in preseason? So there's so many ways you could go about this, and there's so many angles and so many avenues of approach. He's sticking to the same, but the same needs to work. So the more
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
I
working,
mean, because people will still complain if we don't
yeah,
get a good result. And Ben, and if Ben Chilwell played as a winger, when we have traditional wingers on the bench, it just doesn't make any sort of sense. And it looks like
exactly.
him mentioning balance to me just sounds as if he's just trying to be defensively cautious, in my opinion. But go ahead if you were still talking. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's gone beyond balance right now, because bearing in mind we have one, three centre backs, and two, we have a Caicedo and Gallagher that we're not going to contribute to the attacking third. So that's a unit of five already. That's as good as it gets. So what means is any other player adding that is just adding to a defensive imbalance.
Hmm.
And that's where the concern comes up, because you have Gusto on the right, who may not push as high as most people would like. And then you have Chilwell on the left, who might not be as effective also in the final third.
Hmm.
So now we're having a defensive imbalance that just wants to hold possession. And because they are not so good on the ball, by that I mean being creative and trying to force situations, they just get casual. And so it's slow possession back and forth between the centre backs, slow possession between the centre backs. None of the two midfielders are looking to progress the ball, which we know Enzo used to be really good at. He has the best progressive stats since last season in Europe. This is what he's good at. But you're having Caicedo and Gallagher, who might not progress the ball as much, and three centre backs that also might not progress the ball as much. So five people holding on to it while the opponents just drop back, sit in a low block, and wait for a mistake. So that's been the story of our game. So he's created
If you,
a
in my
defensive.
opinion, if you ask me, if we're playing with two sixes, with then with a three at the back structure and then two wing backs, to me in total we have seven defensive minded players.
Defensive.
Honestly,
Exactly.
uh,
So
yeah,
we've played with a defensive imbalance, and where it gets to frustrating levels is when West Ham got a red card. They got a red card. They were down to 10 men, and we needed to score. So what did the manager do? He still left the three centre backs. Why would you still need three people if the opponent is down to 10 men? And that's where the
yeah.
concern comes from. And we had that all throughout the game. And similar to the Nottingham Forest, you would think a manager would switch up and say, you know what, one of the centre backs come out, two, you're gonna have to do the job like every other team does with two. However, we left the three throughout the game, and it's the concern right there. It is. So people are feeling like, oh, maybe this is gonna be different. If you couldn't see that, from the start, and you couldn't see that after we were losing and after the opponent got a red card, then what are we doing? Then what are we doing? And that's the
Yeah, it's I mean, that to me, I didn't like that, but beyond that, we still have to talk about how we created as many chances as we did and still didn't, you said, to get
convert.
a good result from those games. It looks like Roger. Roger. It looks like Roger could hear highlighted comments, because what I have highlighted on the screen now asks the question, "Where is Roger from God of Frogs?" So yeah, so maybe you heard that. Let's see. And you
That's
have
the
your answer, God of
backlight.
Frogs, but more importantly, sorry,
That's
Roger,
the
did you say
backlight for
something?
me, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the backlight,
uh,
you know.
Yeah, yeah. God of Frogs, you have the answer to your question there, but I appreciate you more importantly joining the show, Roger. And God of Frogs, Vic says, watching Palma and Nani at the under 21, they are ready to start. Let's see if Poch is naive on Sunday. I think he should start them both, especially knowing that Bournemouth will defend deep. That's probably the blue print to beat in Chelsea. So defend deep and hit us on the break. This Mitchell guy, coach, we need to have words trying out your panelists and draining the life out of them, and then coming on half ready, and sometimes don't even come. Hello to you too, Constantine Dante. Always nice to see you. I appreciate you joining, brother. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well. For me, I am a dropping Chilwell and giving Matson Cuckoo a chance. Yep, I'd rather Cucurella, honestly, in my opinion, because he progresses the ball better than Ben Chilwell. But I get it. The argument has always been that Ben Chilwell carries goal threat. Or perhaps Cuckoo left back in Matson in a left wing position. Maybe. What's going on, coach? All good? Yeah, I'm good. I say you've heard me complain that I was burned out at one point, so I decided to take a break. You can say even beyond that, there aren't too many stuff to talk about. If you've been following the Chelsea community, let's see. I rate the fact Poch isn't making wide sweeping changes to the squad, but Chilwell just isn't good enough for me. Unfortunately, a lot of people have, again, you can say many people have, you can say, have come to that realization he isn't that good. This chance creation isn't the biggest. This chance creation is the biggest I can't pronounce that well. Mythological thing about it is easy to just say he creates the most chances. Then you don't show us those set chances so we can rate how good those chances are. Yeah, they are, or where maybe, but I think it makes sense. Again, eye test alone is enough for me. He doesn't progress the ball enough for me. He often opts for safer options, sideways or backwards, and can hardly beat his man. A lot of people, Mesola, always nice to see you, brother. Good morning to you too. I hope you're doing well. Let's see. I think I'm going to start calling him Meso. Yeah, that sounds again. That's easy. Let's see what else we have here. Anything else here to address? Poch is a bit delusional if he thinks that's balance. I've always thought he's starting Chilwell because he's he's a defensive instinct to achieve balance between being offensive and at the same time achieving this a defensive balance. And it sounds like that's the case. And Khalid Abdulhamid Hamid, hi coach. It's only 4 games, and I can see all fans panicking. Oh yeah, I can understand why. Guys, please give this team some time. I think we will come good. But unfortunately, I don't blame the fans that much. I blame some content creators. Some of them, like you could say, some of which I respect so much. But unfortunately, that behavior is concerning to me. Yeah, because they adding fuel to fire, in my opinion. I will throw some more big words your way, coach. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Thank you for the punishment. Yeah, easy on the big words, coach. Just came back from a break. Don't stress me out. I don't want to get tired after one show and decide to take another break. Let's see, James Badiashile, Broya, and Lavia remain out per Chelsea website. But in the case of I think that's just the club being cautious. I think we read something similar, something to that effect, explaining they've decided to be ultra cautious about their return. So they don't want to risk any setbacks, and I think it makes sense. Let's see. Christian Norton says, "Is crossing the ball? Does crossing the ball count as chance creation? Do you know? Probably. I think it should, if as long as it gets into the box and gets it to. I'm not too sure how that works really. Do you know? We have the most crosses in the EPL for this season with the shortest team. Wow, it depends whether the crosses were on the carpet or in the air. I don't know. But Roger, anything you've heard us discuss that you want to talk about before we move on to talking to answering the question whether we are if we're good enough? Yeah, if you're there. Hola, gracias, aloha. Yeah, I would never forget that. But you go ahead. Go ahead, Roger.
I'll go with Sawadika.
What, Konnichiwa? What did you say?
No, Sawadika. It's from Thailand.
Thailand? Oh, I forgot. That one won't be easy to remember, really. But go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you both?
Fine. I can't complain. I appreciate you joining, brother.
Big up, Roger.
Hello, sir. Listen, this is a young team that is not balanced. I think we can all safely agree on that. And there's a lot of people that are out that are making an impact. And we discussed this before the season started. You know, you're right about content creators adding fuel to the fire. I totally agree. But it's part and part of the parcel, you know, it's rubbish. The expectations are too high and unrealistic. You know, like hypothetically, let's be honest, we dominated our last match, yet we lost it, correct? Mm-hmm. And yet we can all agree that we deserved at the very least 1 point. But that didn't happen. The same can happen against Bournemouth. I don't think it will, but hypothetically. And the temperature will rise, you know, significantly, exponentially. And it doesn't matter. I think this coach is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, for the most part, because he has a Spurs history. I think had he not had that history, I think the fan base would be a lot more patient. So I think there's some inherent bias, whether that's subconscious or conscious, I have no idea. But I believe, like Chilwell, you discussed Chilwell. Do I believe he should be playing a left winger? No, I don't. He should be a left back. You're right. He doesn't know how to take a man on. Yes, he's good at crossing, etc. But he
carries goal threat.
Yeah, he does. Yes, he does, and he scored some nice goals. But then again, so did his predecessor. You know, from Spain. I forgot his name.
Alonso.
Marcos. Yeah, Alonso was yes, he lacked speed, but in my opinion, he was better than Chilwell because he was so technical and he was clinical. A gifted goal scorer, very clinical. So you know, I see a bit of Chilwell in Alonso in some regards, but you know, I don't want to see him in that position. I want to see him as a left back. I want to see either Mudryk or a Sterling or Matson or obviously Nkunku can't, you know, but someone else playing that position. I understand the reasons why that the coaching staff have decided that, but I'll be very disappointed if he does indeed continue with this, and I believe he will, and I find that disappointing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he sounds like he will. The fact that he mentioned how many chances he's created sounds like he's going to do it again. Unfortunately, we better win, because if we don't, people will still come back to that. We'll continue to point to that as one of the reasons why we didn't win. But go ahead, Roger, if you were still talking.
Yeah, I listen. I really like Pochettino. I really do. I'm a big fan of his, regardless of his Spurs background. because I think his profile fits this project. I really do. His MO. But I think if he is too stubborn and not flexible enough, and then but then again, we have to give him some slack because he sees things on the training pitch day in, day out that we don't see. So maybe he has no choice. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I don't know, but they are privy to that insight where we're not. But it doesn't make sense to me from what I see on game day. It's not working. So why continue? I don't know. And unless he's tried other players there in the training ground and they're worse than him, which could be the case. I don't know. If that's the case, then we really are up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah, and the truth remains, as long as we're not winning, it's not working. It doesn't matter how well we play.
Even if even if we're winning or drawing, and you're still seeing the same ineptitude on that side of the pitch, I still consider that a failure.
Yeah, and I think he's going to lose half the fan base just with the lineup alone. I think people are going to see it and see Chilwell there, and hearts are going to be broken, honestly. And even if we go on to win it, 1-0, 2-1, anything but convincingly, I think people will just be on edge about the whole thing. Just with the fact that he's not changing it because we see it not working. And bearing in mind, we're losing against Nottingham Forest and he decided to bring on the wingers. So the question is, do you think, the wingers were to get you the equalizer, or was it the previous system with Chilwell? So if you thought the wingers, were the way forward, then why didn't you just start like that?
Exactly. You answered your own question.
No, Roger, you have to answer that question. Don't run away from it.
It's true, though. It doesn't make sense. But
it doesn't. It doesn't in any way.
I don't. Maybe he's being very overly cautious, overly pragmatic because of the youth of the team. That could have some validity to it.
Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day saying this was exactly how Ange was behaving in preseason with the whole possession and all of that. And it's almost like Chelsea and Tottenham just exchanged their playing style at the start of the season.
Yes,
because
exactly.
looking at them was exactly how we played in preseason. Quick, direct, sharp, decisive, compact when defending. But with us, it's just, 5 at the back, everyone slow down and keep the ball and then hope to create the chances.
Yeah, he will tell you it's not a back three, it's a back four. But I'm sorry. I'm talking about 90+%. Every time that the camera pans in on our back line, it's 3 there, and you can call it whatever you want to, but that's a back 3 because I don't care whether you're using people in possession. You can say Chilwell is the left back. No, he's not. He's a left centre back. Let's be honest. Even though they're spread out wide, that's a back 3 in anybody's language.
Yeah, and even at that, if it's a back 4, then why do you have 2 left backs? Why do you keep 2 left backs on the bench and 2 wingers on the bench? It makes no sense. Then why is Martin still here? Because if he can play as a left back, which he'll be the third option, and then on the wings, he's also the third option in attacking areas. Then in the middle, which is the 10, he's also the third option. Then it makes no sense. Like, it just makes no sense.
Do you think Cucurella is out of the equation?
No, I think he's very much.
I think he still has a chance.
Okay,
I think,
just curious.
Yeah, and I think the media is trying to paint the picture like he's not, but I don't think he is. I watch him.
I don't think he is because look, he's a good player. His one problem is that you can say sweeper defender approach to the game.
Yeah.
It leads to him leaving tons of space and behind or wherever again the position within the area that he's supposed to be occupying. And I think opposition team, you can say they've come to realize this. Oh, if he's on the pitch, look for the space in behind him. I think that's the only issue he has. Because here's the thing, he progresses the ball better than Ben Chilwell. He's capable of finding passing lanes where you don't know one exists. And he keeps it on the carpet in most cases. And I like him for that. Yeah. And if you look at his numbers at Brighton, if the manager is talking about chance creation, I think you can say he trumps Chilwell in that aspect. The only thing Chilwell has over him is goal threat in terms of putting away chances.
Yeah,
He hasn't. He hasn't shown that he's capable of doing that. But go ahead, Roger, if you're still speaking, so that before I give those
no, I think that's a valid point. I think if you look at Cucurella and Chilwell, they're very diametrically opposed, kind of stylistically speaking. Their strong points is the weak point of the other, and vice versa. What one does well, the other does poorly, and what one does poorly, the other does well. So they're very different players in so many levels.
Yeah.
But my only thing with Cucurella is he switches off. He makes mental mistakes.
Are you referencing to my argument that he leaves tons of spaces in behind?
Well, that too, yes, that's part of.
Okay, so that's two. So you think he switches off too?
Yeah, he does, and he goes wandering. Listen, when you're a left back and you see someone that's basically right center, you're basically on the other side of the pitch where you should be, and you can see the goal because you've gone wandering. And it wasn't from a corner or a set piece. What does that tell you? There was an instance last year, or a couple of them, where he was like, they broke it down on a British, I think it was BT Sports at the time. That's now TNT Sports. And they broke it down. And this is a veteran player. He's not a teenager. And he's gone wandering. And he's done it several times. And listen, I don't know whether that's quote unquote a brain fart or whether he was told to do something. I have no idea. We'll never know, but it's not normal, especially for an experienced player. I do like the fact that he jumps very high for someone his size. He has very good attributes, but he also, the thing that disturbs me is that he makes mental mistakes, and that's inexcusable. Everyone can have a bad touch, For God's sake, Messi has an occasional bad touch, and he's as good as they come. So that's you're human, you make a mistake, but to be mentally switched off, that's inexcusable.
Yeah, that's really bad for a defender. Really.
Yeah.
Rome wasn't beaten in a day. I think I agree with you. We have to be very patient. Let's see what else we have here. If at least it's quick first time crosses. But the quality of crosses being horrible and late, so defense can position. Okay, let me see. Which is people having conversation there. I does watch a football. Okay, in and out, and watching Chelsea tactics coming October with those teams. I think that's a bit jumbled up there. It's hard to comprehend what you're trying to say there. Unfortunately, those things it does happen even to the best of us. I don't agree with any one of that. Sorry, Roger. Chilwell cannot pass, cross, defender, or attack. Sorry, it's my opinion. Oh, yeah. Thank you for ending it the way you did, and you are allowed to do that. So you don't have to apologize to Roger.
That's fine. But listen, he's not to be confused with an Angel Di Maria, for instance, or a great crosser of the ball. But he crosses. I've seen it. I beg to differ because I've actually seen it with my eyes. He's a decent crosser of the ball, and on some occasions he's a very good corner taker. Have I seen him take bad corners? Of course I have. He's not the finished product for an elite player. I'm not, and I don't think anyone on this panel is saying he's an elite player. But he's a decent crosser of the ball. He really is. And when I say decent, meaning good enough for Chelsea to succeed at our level. And I'm not talking about 12th place. I'm talking about top 4 or 5 level. He really is. And he's shown it because we were at the top of the division when James and Chilwell, were last healthy under Tuchel.
In December.
And they were excelling. We're doing well. And there's no coincidence once those two were missing within a matter of days that we have never attained that high position again.
Beyond that, Roger also does recognize his deficiencies, and he's spoken about it at length.
Yeah, listen, I'm not. I confess I have had a favorite player, N'Golo. That's because
do you need a reverend father?
Yeah, no, serious, because he is a great player.
Since you're confessing, no, I know. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
no, he is a great player.
Explain us. Tell us the reason. You know,
No,
who's that guy?
We need detail.
Well, let me tell you, chaps. No, listen. Does he have a poor first touch? N'Golo, yes, he does, but he's not hired for it for what he does on the ball. It's what he's hired for doing off the ball. You know, and he does it better than anybody else in the world for a good 7-8 years. So, other than that, I don't have favourites. Does that make sense? I look at a player and say, okay, this player is really good at this and not so good at that. You have to be objective.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of people can't. People get attached to certain players, and yeah, and you know the rest. I think most of us are giving Poch a chance, no matter if it's if he has coached a sports or not. He is bringing this pressure upon himself by moving away from what was successful. I think people keep mentioning our approach during the preseason, and I think it makes sense. It's a solid argument. But his argument, the reason why that the reason he's changed is because Nkunku's injury. And I don't know what, I'm not too sure how to make of that really. We dominated under Porter too, Roger. Within a short time, if we don't capitalize, then everything goes to what you said there. Again, we have seen this movie before. I think I agree with you, but there's a difference. I think you could say
more purpose. You can see
go
it.
ahead. Let me not do a tapping. You go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, you can. You can see it, the DNA of this team. You can see it's more structured, however you want to term it. It's different from Potter, but even under Potter, we were creating chances, but we just weren't putting away. And under Tuchel too, for certain periods of time, that was one of the big knocks onto Tuchel. This isn't. You're right. We've seen this movie, and let me tell you, this isn't the second or third time we're watching it. It's a repeat. It's like Groundhog Day.
This is a part 3 of it.
No, part XY to the power of 4. You know, it's getting old, and it's getting old fast. But the good news is that we are creating chances. And you think, oh, what's the big difference? Well, let me tell you, if we come to a day where we're not creating chances, then you'll know definitely how poor the team is.
Then we're in serious trouble.
This is half the battle, is creating the chances.
Yeah. And you could argue this particular episode, I think it ends differently because our behavior of the ball has changed. Yeah. And that's huge. That's very important. And you can say we have more committed players than we had under Graham Potter.
So let me ask you, both of you, just very briefly, if I may, Coach. Put Potter now with all these new players, and I'm not sticking up for him, I'm just being honest, or put Poch with the same players that we had with last season, and you can see that they've migrated. Why? Because they didn't want to be here. Like, I didn't think that Mount would leave, and Kai especially. You know, so what does that tell you? They never wanted to be here. They
never wanted to be here. Yeah.
They didn't feel part of a project. They didn't buy into it, however you want to term it. And I think,
so you could,
whatever the reason was that.
I think Frank alluded to that. You know, in his press conferences, you know, he could see. You know, he didn't want to throw the team under the bus, but you could see. You know, you could when you look at his press conferences now, you can see in the context what he's saying. It's like. Because don't forget, this club historically has had massive player power in the locker room, more so than virtually any other Premier League or European team. It really has. Look, we down tools under, you know, Jose 2.0. They literally down tools. It's pretty common knowledge they did. A lot of players haven't denied it. So I feel. I'm still listen. Maybe I'm showing my age here, but that was never the case when I was growing up. You feared the coach, the players, because of the fact it's easier to remove a coach than it is players.
Yeah, but player power these days, you know it.
It's real. It's
and
very
when you talk
real.
about Chelsea Football Club, it's nothing new.
No.
Even a newborn Chelsea fan would tell you, player power is something that they know quite well and will define it effectively. Imagine if Chilwell play as a left back and overlaps the amount of damage he do. Alonso was able to play. That was because he had a fit Kante. Yeah,
I
Kante did a
totally
lot of job
agree.
to cover up. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's why.
he covered up Alonso and he covered up Eden Hazard. Don't forget, Eden never tracked back.
Yeah,
You know,
and that's why I've
he
always
got his.
argued I'd rather we play. You can say with the traditional winger in the wing back positions. If we're going with the back three, if we're playing with 2 6s, then you have a cover for them. But go ahead, Roger. You were saying
Yeah,
something.
when our opposition was breaking on us, Eden was getting his picnic out, pouring a nice glass of Chablis, you know, and having a sandwich, and then yeah. Seriously, I love Eden. Don't get me wrong, but he was not invested in tracking back, shall we say?
Oh, that's
And
now
Kante,
even Mourinho called him out.
yeah, and N'Golo covered that. He masked so many of Chelsea's deficiencies, players that didn't want to track back, like
and then
Alonso,
tomorrow after.
like Alonso's lack of speed, like Eden not tracking back. You could tell when you had that same team, but N'Golo wasn't playing, we were a different team completely, and it's because of him. He masked so many of our problems.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And the press conference is on, and we'll be following it. If anything, again, serious, anything worth talking about emerges, we'll talk about that. And big up to you too, Dan. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding the time to join this morning. Yeah, big up Cucurella, Giza up the charts. Cucurella out. Cucurella out. Wow, always love that. So you want me out 2 times. I think one will be enough. But Dan, much love to you. I appreciate you joining.
All love, Chelsea, Dan.
Big up Gucci Dan. I didn't know you called Gucci. Okay, I know your name now. And Roger says hola to you. Roger, on game day, it's not working. Why care about a training ground stuff?
Well, that's easy to answer that, because if you see that player A is better than player B on training ground, and player A still isn't succeeding on game day, then player B, by logic, probably is going to fail worse so. So that you just answered your own question. So why would you put someone that's not as good in training than you would on game day? Now, I've got to concede that I'll grant you one thing here. It's a well-known fact that there are some players that train very poorly but play very well on game day. In many sports, by the way, like NFL, for instance. And some players, you know, train very well but don't play well on game day, and vice versa. So I get your point. It does have some validity, but generally speaking, the norm is that you go with the players that are training better and are healthier, just to be honest with you.
Yep, thank you so much. I agree. I agree 100%. Why didn't you start with the wingers? If it wasn't good enough to start, why depend on them to come on for 10 minutes to score goals? And that's responding to what Martin says. Facts, Roger, Dan there are cheering you up. And let me remind you guys, we waited for 40 years to be champions of England till Mourinho came in. So please, my people, I ask for patience. Don't panic. It's still early days, but not for 40 years. I get your point, though. I still believe in Pochettino, but should also try his best and get first team while struggling to identify proper players. Some argument that Desmond, nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Roger said Poch is the right manager for this team. Then he talks about Poch being pragmatic or cautious. If he cannot trust and train the boys, he shouldn't be there. That is some argument. I get where you're coming from, given what Roger's argument there.
Because it's early days. These aren't just new players. These are new coaching staffs. We're in week 4, or we finished week 4, however you want to term it, in a very long season. Even without Europe, you know, you have to give the players, the coaching staff, and the players that are returning from injury time to not only understand conceptually what's going on and what is required out of them individually and collectively, but they also have to know each other. They have to build chemistry on and off the pitch. It's a multitude, a plethora of different aspects. You know, it's like if you go to a restaurant and you taste let's say a very sophisticated broth, it's not just a piece of chicken and one onion in there. I guarantee there's a lot more to that recipe. And it's the same thing applies in sports, especially free-flowing sports. You know, this isn't segmented into downs where when you're playing in the NFL, American football, each play, you know, there's a tree of what player is going to run what route and what blocking techniques are going to be used, etc. These are all, you know, manufactured and scripted. You know, this is free flowing, so it takes time, and it's not as easy as it. You know, you have to give at least 1 or 2 years for I believe for an organization to excel. And that's why your people like Sir Alex Ferguson's would not succeed in today's football, because unless he hit the ground running, he wouldn't have been given the opportunity to succeed like he was back in the day. It's that simple.
Yep, thank you so much, Roger. This says when you watch the games when playing a Cowell left back as a centre back, he drifts into to help Chilwell, drifts in to the striker, leaving a huge gap down left hand side of the ball.
Sometimes,
Let's
yeah.
say Pochettino hasn't been the same since he refurbished his teeth. Could it be?
Oh,
Just
man.
go away. I don't see. I'm starting to like you, but you're starting to misbehave again. I am saying, coming October, we are going to struggle playing a Man United, Arsenal, etc. To me, I think we'll be ready for them. This is the preseason. You can say, to me, here's the thing, and it has been like that for a while. We seem to play better when we play good teams that don't defend deep.
Yes.
Our biggest problem is finding solutions when we play against teams that defend deep. That's just that. I'm not too concerned about the big teams you're mentioning. We're not creating proper chances. Maybe a couple per game. Only the rest of the chances are rubbish. To keep saying we create the most chances is a false narrative, in my opinion. Thank you for the disclaimer right there. But Poch never spoke with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Mount, Pulisic, or Havertz. The board made all the outgoing decisions for him. I'd rather have Ruben Loftus-Cheek than Gallagher. I think I'm the same, but I'm not going to go back to start discussing who decided to sell what player.
Yeah,
I think
do we know though that
we don't know.
never
Yeah, that's
spoke?
what I'm saying. I'm
I
not going to
don't
do that.
know.
But go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, I listen. Vic, you may be 100% accurate in that, but I'm not privy to who spoke and who didn't speak. And I think, listen, I think you listen. You look at the players that you've listed: Ruben, Mason, Pulisic, Kai. They all wanted to leave. They put in a request to leave. So they initiated it. We didn't. You telling me if any of those players had been on the roster today, they would be put out to dry? No, they wouldn't. They'd be in the roster. They'd probably be starting a lot of the time. So no, these are the players that wanted to leave. But you know, you could be right. You could be 100% right about that. I'm not questioning it. But the fact that I don't know or we don't know, I think that's an assumption.
I think from the public records, Poch indicated that most of the work started a month before he had to resume office, and he agreed with the intentions
of a month before.
Yeah. You know, he accepted the job and had to wait a month.
Yes,
due to contractual situations with his previous role.
June, right? Yeah.
So we made all our sales during that period of time where he was still out, and the idea was the club has had conversations with agents of most of the players, and most people has indicated their idea or their intentions to leave. Now, offers came
seeking a fresh challenge.
Yeah, exactly. A new opportunity and all of that. And the club says, you know what? That's fine. And people need to remember the club will almost accept every suitable offer for almost anyone on this team, except the James and the Cowells that they say it's not for sale. I think most people that will accept it. I think if we had a 60 million for Sterling, they would have said yes. Now, if the player chooses to go, it's another thing.
Me.
if the player chooses to go is another thing. So people need to understand that players have a huge part of the sale and the decisions to leave as well. So there is that side of things. We weren't looking to sell Havertz. The offer came, he wanted to leave, and the club said, you know what? This is the fee. You made it, you get your man. And that was what happened. And similar to the other players, which wouldn't even change, even if they speak with the coach. Now, it's still a personal decision. If you want to stay, you stay. If you want to leave, you leave. But if a good offer came in for you last summer, I think the club would have accepted it, which they did. An example is Mark.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I was like, an example of a player that the club accepted, a fee for Bodingo is Madsen. He said no. An example is Chalobah to Nottingham. He said no.
Exactly.
So the Rubens could have also said, you know what, no, and they stay, and that would have been fine. They would have been in the team and play, and the coach would make his decision on that. So people always like to have this narrative that the club is forcing people out. I don't think that's the case. I think the club is happy to sell, and for some others, they see them as untouchable. Now, if you're not seen as untouchable, that doesn't mean the club is actively forcing you out. You're just sellable, and that's fact, and it's fact for so many other players, not just the Cobhams.
May I say though, in the month that he had signed a contract, but actually in the month of June where he wasn't actually at the facilities because of contractual obligation, I think it would be very naive of us to think that there was no communications backdoor between them and the executives, whether that's the scouts, the sporting directors, the owners. I'm pretty sure they were texting and talking on a daily basis.
Yeah, he confirmed that.
Yeah, it's common that happens. So I think just to think that potentially Poch had no input, I'm pretty sure they went to him as like, player A, would you like him? Should we?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was a lot of.
He had an input. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
I'm sure
I think
he did.
people are saying it's the input with the players directly. So I think that would have complicated things. But with the club, yes, he did have an input, and he said the players he wanted, like Levi Colwell, and the club had a strong stance on that.
Yeah. No, I get
all right,
it.
let's get into the go ahead, Roger, if you were still speaking.
No, not at all. So carry on.
All right, let's see. Dan, anything you want to say before we move on to answering the question of whether we're good enough? Big up to you, Dan. It's been a while. I hope you're still there, and thank you for finding the time to join.
Big up what Joe.
Thank you.
Have a guy on the panelists. Big up to you lot. I've missed out with the conversation. What's the question? The question about are we good enough?
If you want to start from there, fine. Go ahead. Do you think we're good enough? If you think we're good enough, where do you think we'll finish? Come end of the season. Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing, Coach. We're not good enough. We are not. I don't see where our Chelsea fan base is going to expect us to be something that we're going to shine in proper to win the Premier League. These kids haven't really. They've got a long way to produce themselves to be as good, proven Premier League players. Because, as you know, it's a new team, new refinement, and it's like a cat off a fish. Like this team, it seems to be. Fair enough, we got Reece James, Ben Chilwell, right, Thiago Silva, there's experience there, and Raheem Sterling. But this is what I was sort of saying on the other day. How many goals do you reckon Jackson's going to score this season? It's going to take time to deliver the Premier League and show. It might take about at least 2 years till when we start being good enough, because for a minute, fair enough, Caicedo did his job last season. Lavia did good at Southampton. But these are kids. These are kids. And as you play as a team, you've got to gel us together. And it's going to take a long way. We're not good enough to win nothing. And if we finish this season, I'm thinking it'll be like 7th or 8th this season, Coach. Because I can't see Jackson's going to score like at least 15 to 20 goals this season in GNA. Modric, how the best are we going to get out of him? I can't see that happening for a minute. Nuno Madueke, I don't know how many goals he's going to score. The only player probably might help us out, scoring goals, is probably Raheem Sterling. And when Nkunku comes back from injury, he might help us score goals, but there's no structure. Like this team ain't fit. Like before, Coach, we used to be scary, and people used to be scared because we know that we always beat them. Yeah, but low clubs now these days are not scared to beat us.
They can smell the blood.
They can smell. Yeah, that's what it's would you like. They'll score one goal and they'll just park the bus against us. And where are we going to create? This season, it's like last season. We haven't created enough chances. You know what I mean? Two chances. If you actually look at the raw stats, Liverpool game, we created two chances against Liverpool. The Wimbledon game, we struggled to beat a pub Conference League team by 2-1. Like struggled to beat them with this team we've got. Even though we still won, but we struggled. We're not less creative in that against Wimbledon. Look, people say, "Oh, we create a lot of goals against Luton Town," but that's Luton Town. I can't see Luton Town. Yeah, fair. Congratulations being in the Premier League this season, but I can't see them winning any games this season in the Premier League. Right? Then we went to West Ham. There was less creative chance against West Ham. There was 2 chances in that game, and then after the Nottingham Forest, we created 2 chances against Nottingham Forest when Jackson had so many chances in a couple of games and skied it over the bar. Pre-season, listen, what people say, "Oh, pre-season, we did well in pre-season. Why now has he changed the formation to?" But when I heard you, Roger, about the formation, I said along, yeah, I was right from along. Right? I was on the Twitter space, and people know when people on Twitter space ask for people's formations. I knew Pochettino was going to play Desassi, Thiago Silva in the middle, and Chilwell. And you're right. They're saying they're playing 4 at the back, but they're not. They're actually playing 3 at the back. You're right, Roger. They are actually playing 3 at the back. Chilwell, but it's not a left back. But Thiago Silva actually came out saying they're actually playing 4. But on camera, like you said, Roger, it was totally right, that you actually do see the 3 at the back. You do actually see 3 at the back. But this team is just not good enough to... in my eyes, this season, I don't think...
Do you not think, though, the injuries have played a significant role / part in the fact that we haven't been as successful as we should have been compared to others? Listen, injuries is part of the game. I will not.
Yeah,
I understand. I get that.
I
but
understand.
not when you're
57. We have 57 injuries, Roger, from last season. Yeah.
Yeah.
57. So that is a long major of injuries.
We were decimated.
Yeah, it's decimated. But honestly, our opinion, Roger, do we have to make an excuse with these injuries? We should actually make.
There's a difference between an excuse and a reason. That's a reason, not an excuse.
That's
my opinion.
But we still have stars. We still have stars. We spent 1 billion of money, 1 billion on unproven Premier League players. That's going to time to adapt to the Premier League for a very long time. It might take a year, it might take 2, or it might take 3. Depends how Pochettino's plans come in. Like what Pochettino
said. This billion hasn't been spent on players that we historically have spent on when they're in their prime. They've been spent on youth. That is, for the most part, there are a couple of exceptions, but predominantly, especially the last 2 windows, they've exclusively been spent on youth because of based on their ceiling level, their potential, nothing else.
You could say that, would you? But then what? The base of this team, if you could spend that 1 billion of money, you could spend half of that on.
Did we really spend 1 billion? I think you should.
Not net.
It would be fair for you to deduct how much we made from player sales.
Yes.
Yeah.
Net spend.
That's facts. But yeah, we sold a lot of players, and the money what we profit on them players, we had to spend that money on buying the players back. But if you get the structure risk, I'll understand. But you've got rid of a lot of proven Premier League players like Mason Mount, the Kai Havertz, the Pulisic, the Ruben Loftus-Cheeks. They're literally trying to get rid of all the Coburn players here to make the profit of money. Like you see, like Lewis Hull went, right? You had and then they're going to try and get rid of Conor Gallagher. That's somewhat Ian Matson. We've got homegrown players. We've only got 4, and we were meant to have 7, and now we've got 4. But people say like we can't really say Nuno Madueke is an ungrown player because he weren't a Coburn boy. But you're spending money on children. Like what I say is, Coach Julio and Roger, this team is like we've got an A team is 21A squad, right? Apart from Raheem Sterling, the oldest with Reece James, Thiago Silva, and Reece Sterling. And then you've got a B team, who's the BT under 21s. We did it for like when we played for the reserves. So this is like a A/B team under 21 proven, not proven Premier League players. But with the situation with these owners, they should have gone thinking to like Pochettino, what we'll do, we'll get you the experienced players so we could buy the players to help them to adapt to the Premier League. So you've got so these kids could look up on the experience saying, oh, he knows what he's doing. Like, yes, we've got Raheem Sterling, but would you say these young kids will look at Raheem Sterling because he's had a lot of experience? They wouldn't. Or like the Thiago Silva. You need to adapt the middle of the pitch. Like you get experience in that team, and then you have the children who are non-experienced, where they can look up on the experience. But this team, fair enough, we can see a bit of movements, but which is not good enough for a minute. Roger, I'm telling you.
So just quickly, where do you before I go to Roger, where do you think we finish?
This season, if people think we're going to finish 4th in to be in a Champions League spot, yeah, you got to live in the cuckoo lands because the thing is, right, this team I think is going to finish like least about 8th or 9th this season. Because you've got Cucurella, yeah, and with the Cucurella situation, I don't think he's going to get much chance in the Premier League. Pochettino will play him in the cup games, and then he'll be gone in January. But this team haven't got the mentality to. Our midfields are probably all right, yeah. Long as they adapt in the midfield, Caicedo and the Enzo Fernandez and Alaria, yeah. But it's just our attacking. If you push Raheem Sterling out, tell me who's going to at least score about 15, 20 goals, like Jackson, Modric, or Cole Palmer, or Nuno Madueke are going to score at least 15 goals this year. I can't see it happening. Their mentality is not good enough up front for a minute. Once this team with the mentality, and they start getting gel together and get used to it in a year, probably next year. But then we must be worried if we don't get Champions League next summer. Then there's going to be a lot of players in our club for next summer want to leave to go to the Champions League, probably like the Enzo Fernandez. But that's what it's a hard situation. It's upset because as you know, Roger, yeah, we used to be a non-successful club for 20 years, yeah. Winning cups, winning Premier Leagues.
Mm-hmm.
They've now they've put us back to square one again, back to a fresh and start. They've put us back.
It wasn't intentional. I'm sure you were one of those calling for quite a lot. Some of those players were sold to be sold. And they've done just that.
Yeah, but if you see they started from fresh, I understand if we didn't win cups, then yeah, you could But now they've... Go on, Roger.
Do you not then believe in the project? Do you not think that... Listen, it's not a proven, tested theory. I'm not saying it is, but do you believe that the project is flawed then?
It is a fraud for a minute, Roger. There's no project there.
There is. There's a project. It's buying youth and buying potential and blending in with a sprinkle of veterans.
But that's good though, yeah, Roger. But how long does the potential players to come proven Premier League experienced players? How long does it take them to adapt to the Premier League? How long does it take to them to win Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, FA Cups? Because this team, for a minute, the deliverance what we've got, they're not ready to be the top Premier League team.
But you
it's
do
going to take
understand.
it a very long time.
You do understand, though, with the previous model, had we continued it, based on our huge wage scale, that we would not have fit under the new financial fair play and sustainability laws. You do realise that, right? That we would have had to actually.
Yeah, I do. But
you do realise that we can only adhere to 90% in the first year of our spending, of our revenue. I mean, which means we would have had to sell these players anyway. You do realise that, right?
Oh, of course I do. I know that, would you? Because in the net spend, we've only spent 85.5 million in history. Yeah, the people could say we spent so much money more than Arsenal. But if you actually look at the proper top net spend, Arsenal, Man United, and Liverpool are in that category. They spent more money than Chelsea.
They haven't. Okay,
they have. They have. I've got the stats.
So the BBC. Can I just quickly say this? In the last 10 seasons, that's the highest net spending from 2014 to 2023, the previous window. Man United have spent 1.2 billion.
Oh, there's quite a lot.
I'm talking about pounds sterling here, right? Chelsea have spent 885. That's 311 million less than Man U. Third is Paris Saint-Germain, with approximately 90 million spent less than us. We're talking net spending here.
And you got Arsenal 171.5 billion.
Well, no, hold on. I'm talking about the last 10 years. They've spent approximately 145 million less than us net spending. And Man City have spent about 150 million less than us in a 10-year span. Do you understand?
If you look on Sky Sports, they talk about the 10-year.
All right. Listen, let's not derail too much from the main topic because we don't have too much time.
Sorry.
We still have to go and address some of the comments.
Sorry, Coach, for taking so long, but I'm just waiting to come out.
No worries, I understand. No worries, I'll still come back to you.
It's hard for me to spit it out properly. Like when I'm trying to get it out, like frustrating. It frustrates my worst when I'm trying to get it out. But yeah, I'm like. Honest the truth, like I see where Roger's coming, but Roger, just quick question for Roger before the next top tip, yeah. So you're saying is it right for them to pay the contracts on these players for 8-year contracts?
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble. I think because of what they call the odds, the chances are that more often than not, these players will be sold for a profit or would actually come to fruition. There's going to be more successes than failures based on scouts when you look at their upside.
Okay, because I was just thinking, because if these 8-year contracts, you're putting on these players on pressure on these 8-year contracts, where some of this, where you bought half of the team of 1 billion, some of them could not probably be a flop for the Premier League, and some of them could be like elite talent for the Premier League.
But don't forget, most importantly of all, they're under a very good wage structure and guidance for the team. This is the most important thing. We could not have continued with the current format we were using. We would have had to scrap most of those players anyway because of the sustainability laws. Sorry, Coach.
Yeah. All right. Let's give those guys the microphone. Roger, sorry, were you still speaking?
No, not at all. Go for it.
Okay, let's give those in the chat the microphone. Then I'll come back to you, Roger. You let us know whether you think we're good enough. However you want to answer that question, up to you. Chelsea owners should consider bringing back Steve Holland. Seems that the England manager will be quitting his job. Steve was part of a Roman era. Steve can be Pochettino's direct assistant. Maybe. Do I think they should do that? I don't know. It all comes down whether the manager will accept that. You don't just get Steve Holland and impose him on the manager. You only do that if the manager say, if you ask the manager, you say that'll be fine. I could do with this understanding of the club, or you say something to that. But if, like I said, everything comes down to what the manager wants to do. But Roger, I want to hear your thoughts on that one before we move on.
Yeah, you summed it up. No need for a tap-in.
Did you just agree with me?
It won't happen. It won't happen again, I promise.
Oh, God, you actually agreed to coach Chile for once.
It hardly happens. I'm shocked. I love Steve Holland, but again, once more, everything comes down to what the manager wants. I don't think we should actually waste time on that one. That's my problem. Keeping Chilwell and playing him left back is like buying a Lamborghini to sleep in just by a house too much. Players playing out of position. Okay, let's see. Chilwell posted about his new role on Instagram and his so-called new responsibilities. I hate to say it, but him on wing back is only just getting started. I think it stops because he's making excuses right now. He said clearly that he's only doing that just to balance things out. Given that we lost some players to injury. So his thing. I don't think he'd do that forever. It just doesn't make sense. I think eventually Poch will at some point switch to a back four structure, and that is actually 4-2-3-1 to be specific. The formation he's used predominantly, he used predominantly at Spurs, especially. I didn't pay that much attention to what structure he used mainly at PSG, but that's just my opinion. The vibe, always nice to see you, brother. I'm a bit reluctant reading this one because I don't know the meaning of Dadu, D-A-D-D-U. Raphael, welcome back, and please let's keep it civil. Try as much as you can to avoid name calling, brother. Much respect to you. Poch really said that DJ rewind the tape. He brought us back to the dark days of last season. I wouldn't go to that extent, but you're entitled to your opinion, Chimera. More importantly, I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding the time to join. And Raphael says, Coach, do you like Hugo Vetzlin? I'm not going to lie to you. You're my brother. You're my friend. I don't know him that much to say. I actually don't know the player in question. I have to go watch those videos you send me to analyze the way he applies himself. And usually I don't like basing my judgment just on clips. I like to see the player play 90 minutes before I say, okay, you know what? I'm ready to talk about this player and say and present my argument with regards to whether Chelsea should sign that particular player or not. In this case, I haven't, but I have the videos there that you sent me, and I'll go watch them. Rafael said, Roger, can you call him his real name, please? I don't want you to get into trouble with anybody again. Enzo makes good passes and offers nothing else. Please listen to the substance of my argument. He doesn't defend well. I think that's nothing new. I think we all know that. He doesn't defend well. Zero intensity. Cannot dribble. Very incomplete. Barilla, much better. But Barilla wasn't available. I love Barilla, and I think a lot of you here in the community, I think I'm quite sure you must have heard me on occasions talking. You can say Watson lyricals. Let me use someone else's language. I love Barilla so much, but he wasn't available. But we were told.
Can we settle some myths? I think people on the what's the word on the value Enzo because now they see him and they'll watch him every week. Enzo is actually above Barella in almost every statistic there is, and passing in even the defensive side of the game. So as much as we see him and we're losing, and he still has the highest progressive stats in Europe.
Yes, he does.
Enzo is top of the top midfield quality.
Yeah,
and I get it. Everybody doesn't. Again, everybody doesn't have to like him.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot.
Could I ask, Coach? Could I ask this guy a question, quick? Right, with the Enzo. Right, with the Enzo Fernandez with Argentina, you've seen a much better capability with him playing for Argentina. Yeah, in that DM role, right?
Yeah.
So why is it he does it how good at Argentina, but when it comes to Chelsea, he don't do a good process at the club at Chelsea? Because
I wouldn't say he's been bad for Chelsea. He's been excellent for us. Actually, he's been one of our best players. And if you want to argue how well he's doing, he does for Argentina, how well he does at Chelsea. Let me remind you, they have an established team. The entire team is
a different kind of football.
But also, we have an entirely new team.
And we haven't seen him in his sweet spot. Deep lying playmaker, deep spot.
And he's not a DM, actually. If you're expecting to see him play as a DM, he's not one. He's a deep lying playmaker.
Exactly. So we need him next to Caicedo, not ahead playing the 10, not taking his position playing the 6, just right next to him, just to take the ball from the defenders and progress it.
Right next to Caicedo, but with the independence to be adventurous on the pitch.
Yes, exactly. Just the way he was in the second half in that Liverpool game. dropping deep. He went close to Gallagher.
Would you say he's the number 8 then, playmaker attacker?
No, it's not about the
line
number.
Playmaker.
It's exactly. He should be playing the role.
If you play Enzo, the more you play Enzo closer to the final third, the less effective he becomes. He needs to see the pitch.
He needs to be playing the exact role.
Just see him as an orchestrator.
Listen, we all have to agree, Raphael. Yes, he's not blessed with speed and physicality. He's not 6'3". He's not like a Bellingham. He doesn't have those physical characteristics. So yes, I agree. He's not the prototypical. But what he does
and
do,
no player is perfect.
Yeah, what he does do, he does at a very high standard
level, very controlling the game.
Yeah,
so we need him dropping deeper. We need him playing exactly where Gallagher is playing.
It's the same height as Fabregas, Roger.
Right, which is listen.
Decent for a midfielder.
We're building the team around him, whereupon he's the metronome. He sets the tempo. He's our quarterback. However you want to term it, what superlative you want to use. This is what he is. You know. Yes, he's not blessed with blazing speed or tremendous height or physicality per se, but he's a very advanced and skillful player. And one thing you need to take into consideration, he's very young still. He's not even close to being in his peak years. You know.
So, right, let me catch up. Let's give these guys the microphone. Roger, I want to hear you talk about whether you think we're good enough, because we're running out of time. But go ahead, round off what you were saying. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll be very quick, very briefly on it. So, listen, he's 22 and a half years of age, basically. He won't reach his peak for another 3.5 years, probably. So, are we good enough? Only time can tell, Coach.
Don't be in a rush to answer that one, Roger. Let me come back with you with that one so you can take your time and answer it.
No, it's serious. We could flop. We may never win another game all season. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. However, could we win every single game remaining? Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. It's the embryotic stages of this football team, this squad. It's that simple. With a new squad for the most part, and it's a new training or coaching staff. You have to put things in perspective. So, do I think
for you, Roger, quickly? Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Like Coach says about good enough. Was we good enough to beat Nottingham? Are we good enough to beat like the Nottingham Forest, the Bournemouths,
and West Ham? On paper, yes.
On paper, are we good? On paper, are they good enough to beat them teams?
Yes, on paper.
Okay.
But the game isn't played on paper.
So on paper, if we're good enough to do that on paper, why is it the team can't do it now? That's
because there's a thing called a round ball. Things happen. You know, humans make errors. You know, they're human. You know, if you look at the XG, expected goals, it's not even close. The last year and a half, 2 years. We've created the most chances. It's that simple. Some may say, well, some of those chances are half chances, but then look at other teams. They also have half chances, and yet it's still not as high as ours statistically. Yes, statistics can be manipulated. However, these are straight facts. Just like we lost 1-0, that's a fact. Did we create far more chances? Yes, undoubtedly. Do we have more possession, more forward passes? But we were not clinical. It's that simple. You know, and this takes time. We're also missing important players. That has to be taken into consideration. And so, do I think we're good enough? I think if we don't sustain any more injuries to the level that we're not depleted, because let's be honest, we have been depleted. An injury here or there is acceptable. It's to be expected, but not when you're missing 6 to 8 starters week in, week out. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. That's very much not the norm. You look at that.
If injuries don't happen to an extent where
it depletes us, yes.
Depleted.
And
how
don't
good
forget,
do you think we are? And you can say,
and
how
don't
good
forget,
do you think we can become?
And then the players that are available, some of them are coming back and will not reach their full peak for many weeks, if not months. Do you understand? Or they have setbacks. So you have to take that into consideration. And are we unlucky? Yes, to a certain extent. There is lady luck in every aspect of sports. Where do I think we will end up? Probably between 5th and 8th if we do not sustain the same injury record that has been going on the last year and a half to 2 years. I think that would be realistic. And listen, Dan brings up an important point, and I bring it up weekly. Where are our goals coming from? Because if you look at Chelsea historically, we contribute goals from every single position other than the goalkeeper. Our centre backs, our wing backs, or full backs, however you want to term them, our midfielders, our wingers, they all contribute. And thus far, especially aerially, and I keep on stressing this, coach, week in, week out, Slabhead is better than any centre-back we have on our squad aerially. It just is. So this should put things in perspective. We have wonderful centre-backs, don't get me wrong, but they're not clinical from corners or set pieces. They're just not. It's that, bad issue. I love
100%. And that's scary though, would you?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying, because we have to be realistic here. Like,
Dan, let's let Roger drop.
Sorry, coach, but let's go quickly cover. Like you say, Roger, with the defensive. Like before, we used to score from our set piece from our defensive with Thiago. But like you say, they're not clinical. And don't you think it's not worrying that so where the goals are going to be coming from in the season?
Yes, that's my whole point. I'm giving you credit on that. Badiashile, Chalobah, Colwell, Disasi. Okay, Fofana we can't really say, but let's say he was healthy. And Silva. These are not prolific, clinical scorers, aerially speaking. And that's worrisome. So to blame our forwards or to put all the pressure on our forwards, I think is somewhat disingenuous. I think that the goals need to come from all over the pitch for us to be successful. And that's something we're lacking. But the good news is that we're creating chances, and that's half the battle. And I think once you see like a Jackson getting his confidence back, and then Nkunku, I think you'll see more of a free-flowing football. And hopefully, the one thing that I am worried about is a good set piece taker. This is something that we're lacking currently right now. And this is of somewhat concern to me. I know Reece can take a decent free kick, but he's not exactly Trent Alexander, is he? So
He's not.
But
he carries low threat and can finish if he can get the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Him alone being fully healthy and back, it changes the dynamic of the squad completely. It's things like this. We're not just missing players, but we're missing quality players.
Yeah. All right. Let me give this guy. Let me catch up really this time. Peace and blessings to you, Metal Face Doom. Nice to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. But Roger, statistics are manipulative. Barilla much better than Enzo. I would take Barilla over Enzo anytime, any day. But Barilla wasn't available, and I think probably his age. How old is Barilla right now? I think his age probably an issue with the owners. Lovely to see Chewy on here. Who is he calling Chewy? I don't know. Yes, I know. Let's see what else we have here. One thing nobody has ever questioned is Enzo 100 million. He would do better next to Caicedo. I think he would do well. Did we overpay? I'd say yes. Did we overpay for Caicedo? I'd say yes too. But I think those two players will come good. Enzo is already showing his quality. Caicedo will come good. Enzo is way overrated by our fan base. Wow. Okay. I'm not a hater, but he needs to be put deep next to a defensive DM. He just needs to orchestrate. Yep. I've said that 1,000 times. A lot of people are just saying he needs to play in a more advanced role. I don't think that. I think it'd be useless for us, honestly. Roger, same with Caicedo. He cannot dribble. Zero creativity, interceptions, not great. Only tackles. Okay, we should have got Tonelli, who's the complete creative DM. I'm not. Here's the thing. It's not my decision really. Again, there's also one AC Milan player. What's his name again? That I like so much. I think he's Moroccan. I love him so much. Why we didn't push to sign him, I don't know. But after missing that penalty, Yeah, you're changing his name. Enzo is basically the only elite baller in the squad. A lot of people think otherwise. Some people think it's not that good, actually. Are these owners good enough? More like, I think they are. They mean well. I think we'll come good, honestly. Let's see. Just give this.
Can I just say something? Why don't
Mhm,
you ask any Man United fan if they would rather have their owners or our owners? I
mhm.
dare you. And I think unequivocally, 99.9% would rather have our owners.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It hasn't really worked,
Or
but
Liverpool fans,
yeah,
for
I
that
don't
matter.
blame them that much for the wholesome change. I think we're all called for that, and they've done that. Actually, they're spending showing they want us to do well. I know lots of us are a lot of the Chelsea fans are unhappy that we didn't sign. You can say enough experienced players. If you ask me, from what I've observed,
Yeah.
I never rated Casado high. He's a CM, not a DM. Really, I've always argued that too. All these players are good when you put them in a system to their strengths. I think I agree with you. We need to play players where they'd be effective or positions that they used to. I get it. The argument will always come up these days. Players, you can say, shouldn't be playing, shouldn't be only good at executing one position. They should be able to play multiple positions, which is correct. But sometimes you need to use players to their strengths. It does go a long way, really. Cannot believe we paid over 220 million for that midfield pivot. We could have gotten Mbappe with that money. Maybe, let's see, but I'm not too sure. I don't hate none of my players, but I don't gas them up if they're not living up to the hype. I guess you should do that. Yeah, it's level one.
It's Slabhead
Um,
with a B.
yeah.
Slab, as in the slab of
Roger,
marble.
any more name calling and I'm telling Maguire's mom. You know where that is going, Roger.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I don't want to actually talk about you can say how people are complaining how Manchester United are treating him. Here's the thing. He had the opportunity to leave. If he feels again the club doesn't want him anymore, why
I was
didn't
shocked
he?
he didn't. I was shocked.
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't he leave? So he can't stay and be whining about how he's treated. He had the opportunity to leave. If they haven't treated him well, yeah, he had the opportunity to join. Was it West Ham United? And he refused. Probably right now, I'd say actually he's trying to get the manager sacked, or maybe he believes the manager will get sacked and then he gets another opportunity.
Possibly.
That's how I see it because I just can't understand why he refused to leave. After it became clear the manager didn't want him, and he only got the opportunity to play because somebody got injured. I think the Argentine international.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Roger, if you want to talk about that, you go ahead. Honestly,
No, I was shocked because I thought he would have wanted to move on because obviously the the manager doesn't want him. I mean, he's using him as a third string. So what does that tell you? Someone that used to be the club captain. So obviously he's fallen out of grace with this coaching staff. Has he been out of form? Most definitely. Is he the most technical centre back? Of course not. Does he have flaws? Of course he does. But when he's on form, he's a very solid centre back and is
but it
deadly.
hasn't of late. It hasn't really worked for him at
No, it
Manchester
hasn't.
United.
But he's a deadly centre back, aerially speaking. You know,
Isn't
he
that
really
Tony
is.
Adams? Harry Maguire, come on, man.
Say that again.
Isn't that Tony Adams?
No. I'm just saying. Well, listen, you can't blame the price tag on him. That's not his fault. It's no player's fault. They don't set that. You know, so maybe the price tag affected him. One doesn't know. Listen, for England, he's played very well. There's no doubting it. Am I a big fan of his? No. Would I want him for Chelsea? No. But as I said, aerially, he's better than any one of our centre backs. He just is, aerially speaking, especially from corner kicks. He at least tests the keeper. He gets his header on the ball, and that ball is on target more often than not. And if it's off target, it's only off by a little. And you can't say the same about our centre backs the last season plus. That's just a fact.
Yeah, but Roger, I disagree in a little bit on there because we have Thiago Silva. But if
How many goals has he scored aerially from corner kicks?
Well, tell me how many times did we actually put good crosses in the box? Because half of the time the crosses.
Do you know how many times we've? Listen, I've watched every single game multiple times, and yes, there has been a deficiency in quality of crosses. However, we invariably have far more corners than our opposition, and we get heads on the ball, but they're like 10, 20 yards above the crossbar.
Yeah,
they're not even close. There is no but. This is a fact.
Roger, but you were talking about.
Let's move on from that topic.
Yeah, but with the crosses, sorry, coach, quickly, yeah. With the crosses, yeah, they've been diabolical, yeah. And Thiago Silva half of the time never gets a chance to head the ball because it goes nowhere near the set piece on him. It'll go to Disassi.
Listen, when we get heads on the ball, they're not even testing the keeper. I complain about this week in, week out.
Yeah. Because and also when you try, but when they do crosses in the box, sometimes hardly any players are in the box. So
from corners, I beg to differ.
Let's move on from that. We don't have. Let's move on from that. Really. Big up to you too, Patrick. Let's see. Chimera here saying Maguire's mom is currently emailing Roger for the comment. Yeah, Roger is in trouble. Salute, proper Charles. Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes to go along with this guy waffling. The goal should come from our attackers. The goal should come from every department. It makes a whole lot of difference. If we don't, again, depend only on your attackers to score goals. I know attackers should be scoring, but you should understand the point. So, more way Vigila says, I tagged you. Steve Holland is is one man that knows Chelsea in and out of Chelsea. I don't know why he hides under people's shadows. He's supposed to be Chelsea's manager. Maybe he doesn't have what it takes, or maybe he hasn't really pushed to become one. That's what else we have. You keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes to go along with coaching makes all the difference at this level so far. Poch is failing. I'm not going to the extent of saying he's coaching in terms of if you're talking about coaching the players, like helping them improve, but maybe you're talking about in terms of the structures he's deployed and all that. Maybe that's what you're mentioning. Our owners are destroying our heritage. It takes Ratcliffe over them 100 times. You take him over them. I think I was one of those that prefer, again, that wanted him to be the one that you can say to buy Chelsea from Roman at the time. It didn't work out for some reason. I don't know. Roger, our owners have good intentions, but the recruitment is overall very bad.
Well, apart from the first window, the recruitment's been done by the football executives. You know, the what are their names now?
We have a structure in place.
Yeah, we have a structure that what I've been wanting for many moons now. It's that simple. You know, Lawrence Stewart, Paul Winstanley, and at one point it was Christopher Favell. So we've implemented that along with our talent management and recruitment in addition to our scouting department. No, it's structured. It's so important. We didn't have this kind of structure before. We had Marina Granovskaya that spent 97.5 million on freaking bloody woolly mammoth. Okay, I don't want to hear it.
And if you're again, what was I going to say quickly? I forgot to. All right, just keep dropping the likes on the stream. We have 40 likes. That's not bad, given that we haven't streamed for a while. So I appreciate that. Come good. They got 10 years. They got 10 years. If we don't win a trophy, these owners are in pace to become the worst owners in football history. I'll bookmark this. I'll remind you of this. A bunch of kids. We need quality, mature, proven players. Okay, let's see what happens. I am truly a Chelsea fan, but I'm not anti-Poch. I preferred Enrique, but we are here, and I think we're good under Poch. Coach, only downside of Enzo leaving Chelsea will be not getting to slander him. We're not into slandering. Please don't do that. Enrique is elite. No way these owners would have signed him. Not sure where you're coming with that. They want a yes man who's happy with the Amston model. Wow. Wow. Roger, one day we will have a proper debate about Enzo. At least you listen, unlike some in our fan base. Once I criticize, just start calling him Enzo. Don't change his name. Once a fan actually got angry with me, you are entitled to your opinion, and I respect your opinion, honestly.
Yeah,
This here says no, he's not Roger. We simply don't have any good crosses from
really.
corners.
Well, go ahead. You should rewind and watch every single game we played, because I have, and I've seen actual Chelsea players actually uncontested from a corner and still miss the goal. So I beg to differ.
Constantine.
I've been to every single game, right? I go to every single game, right? And I'm telling you, there's not been once a good corner from set
Okay,
piece.
you know what? I'll start analysing everyone, and I'll write a database for you and send it to you. What minute, what have you, that should have. I mean, listen, you can be pedantic, but you have to be objective. It's the amount of times that I see this.
Crosser then?
We've had
Who's that good
several.
crosser then, Roger? Like who? Because
We've had
the way we saw the set
let's
piece
move
on
on from
crosses,
the
yeah,
crosses
Reece
argument.
James. Reece James is a decent crosser of a ball, for instance.
And
You
how long
disagree?
Okay,
You
well, Reece
disagree?
James is good. Well, Reece James is good at crossing, but how long has he been out? He hasn't
Chilwell's
hardly
been
played.
decent. Chilwell's been decent
I
at
don't think
crosses also.
I don't think Chilwell is good at. His crosses have been a bit all right, but sometimes been shocking.
And you're entitled again. It's your opinion. You have every right to believe that. Let's move on from that topic, please. Popescu, yes, 100%. Though Palmer is good as well. Hopefully, Poch uses him. I hope he uses him. I think he doesn't have any option right now. Palmer is capable of playing as a 10, which means if we deploy any structure that demands we use a 10, probably he gets a chance to play. Popescu at left wing, a 10 will be perfect. Let's see what else we have here. Woolly Mammoth would probably bury those chances Jackson is missing. Yeah, I think you could argue that. Probably not all of them, but I'd rather Jackson than Woolly Mammoth. We should have spent a few of our budget on Oblak and Osimhen. Too many raw talents and average players in the squad. Let's see what happens, but I still think we'll be good. Let's see what else we have here. Constantine, you're right, having a conversation. Let's see. Roger, you cannot beg to differ, okay?
I beg to differ. I beg to differ.
Yeah, if we are to go through for 2 years to have another 20 years of success, wouldn't we do it? These guys are 20 year again. We have time. I think here's the thing. I think I understand what you're trying to say there. I think we're good. Honestly, I'm not too concerned. But one thing I will always say, I don't trust this team that much to go to the extent of predicting the outcome of a game or trying to predict the outcome of a game. Roger, most of our goals for the past 2-3 seasons have been coming up from defenders mostly. Corners and set pieces. Wow.
Who's been our highest scorers the last 3 to 4 years?
I think what year was Jorginho?
Exactly.
Mount,
Mount,
from penalties. Yeah.
These are not defenders.
James, I think James followed last season. I think that was the season James was second, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes Reece James used to take the corners from the last 2 or 3 years, though, coach. That's what I'm saying. Before the 2-3 year seasons, yeah, we was mostly like what you said, Mason Mount, right, and Jorginho's, and like Thiago Silva, he used to be in the box, right. Then you had Antonio Rudiger, but half of that, there's the last 2 seasons now, yeah. The set piece, the set piece on the corners has been terrific, because like, I don't know what it is, if their mentality in the box is not physical enough to header the ball, or they're just like, there's no, because when sometimes you see them cross the ball, half the players are never there. Jackson's not good in the air.
We don't have
Jackson's
Zuma.
Also not good in the air at all. He ain't good.
We don't have Cahill. We don't have Ivanovic, David Luiz, Terry, Rudiger. You know, aerially speaking, I'm talking about aerially.
That's facts, Roger. I agree what you're saying there, yeah. But we can't compare these players to like the Desai's or the Tony Adams or like you say, the Ivanovic, the John Terrys, the Like the Alex.
Kurt Zuma. Kurt Zuma is not an elite centre back, but he was great aerially.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's good.
Slabhead is not. Gary Cahill, you couldn't put him in the same sentence as Desai, could you? You can't, but they're good airily. Slabhead, you wouldn't use in the same elite manner.
Roger, I don't think this argument will end, especially with Dan. Let's just move on from it. I'm gonna catch up with what we have in the chat. Again, here's the thing. As I read the highlights from Mauricio Pochettino's presser, please you go ahead and let me know. Do you think we're good enough? If you don't think, whether we think we're good enough or we're not good enough. You let me know where you think would finish come end of the season and why you think so. So I'm waiting to hear from you. Roger, most of our goals, I think I've read that one too. Professor Coach Ajax signed Sosa for 8 million, and we signed Midfield for 50 million plus. Let's see, Coach, you're just too positive. Here's the thing. Let me be clear to you. I just try to be as objective as possible. Last season, 4 or 5 games into the season, I and Roger were one of only those that we were arguing that all isn't well. When everybody, some content creators were going, Chelsea are back, Portugal,
we looked horrible.
Portugal is here, another, and we were saying no. Even though we won those games, we were lucky actually. That's who I am. I try to be as objective as possible. I've seen lots of positives and negatives, and I think would be good. Honestly, the only issue I've had so far is this Ben Chilwell starting operating as a left wing, and how long it took the manager to make changes when the game was calling for a player like Noni Madueke. Since it became clear, that Nottingham Forest and here and at the breach to play. They just wanted to frustrate us and hit us on the break. So, but I'm not into, you can say, being overly positive. No, I can be positive, but I don't. You can say I don't preach negativity. I don't know how to phrase it to come across effectively. At the same time, I try to be as objective as possible. That's who I am. I was one of those
constructive in the criticism.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
go ahead,
Coach,
Roger.
no matter what people say to you, it's your heart, your choice on what position you think about at your club, your Chelsea Football Club, because you're proper Chelsea, yeah. So if anyone says that in a chat, what you think, right, they don't listen, because at the day, right. Last season, I saw you and Roger on the show when I wanted to come on. That you two argue, it was a poor clinical last season. It was dreadful. It was embarrassment. And this season, right, no matter what, you do what you do. Like if you think that Chelsea are going to be positive and think they're going to do good this season, that's your choice, my brother. Because at the end of the day, you love the club and you love to see the new players. And what you do, you know what I always say to my mates, there's one best person on YouTube I love to watch, out of the Chelsea fan base on YouTube. And they goes, who's that? I said, go subscribe to Chelsea Perspectives, Cucurella, because I think what you do on this show bring loyalty, and that's what you are. That's what you got. Good heart, So, considering Dante, I see, where you saying about thing. It's good that Coach is positive, because if you're always negative, it brings people down, and that's what it does. And you have to be put some way positive.
I think Coach is realistic. I think he's logical in most of how he, shall we say, interprets things. But he doesn't have a bias for the most part.
I'm just gonna say this because you guys are making me, should I say, blush? Heads thin. But thank you, Dan, for all the praise. What I'm gonna say is this: I don't let my love for the club cloud my judgment.
Yeah, you can't. Otherwise, it defeats the object.
Exactly. I don't let my love for the club dictate what I say. No, I try as best I can to be objective. Sometimes one can be biased, even without knowing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I hope you get my but Dan, thank you so much for all the love. I appreciate that. But thank you, Constantine Dente. You know I love you. I would take a top 7 and a small cup for the next 2 seasons, and I am happy for now. Maybe a quarterfinals in Europa League. Wow. Let's see. You know my opinion on that, Roger. I'd rather we get the Champions League place than be part of the Europa League. But if you're in the chat, I want to hear you. Do you think we're good enough, or do you think we're not? Whatever you think, let us know where you think it finish. Pochettino will lose his job if the team fails to improve. There's nothing like rebuilding or long-term projects in football. A manager is as good as his last game. I agree with you on that one, and especially given how much we spent. Go ahead,
Coach. May I ask, is Vic is he American?
Sorry,
is Vic American? I'm curious.
I'm not too sure. I'm not sure where he's from. I haven't asked him that question before.
The reason why I asked is there's a really famous American football coach called Bill Parcells. He coached the New York Giants, the Jets, and the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And he's famous for this one quote: "You're only as good as your last game." He always used to say that. Obviously,
that's a fact.
Yeah, that fix American, Roger. He's American.
Okay, yeah, because that's a Bill.
He comes on the Spaces on Twitter.
Okay, because that's a very famous quote that Bill Parcells has been attributed to. So it's kind of. I kind of agree with it, and I disagree with it, because you can see one team, the same players get beaten, get pounded, and the next week destroy another team, and neither that team is neither as good as their last game and as bad as their subsequent game. So they're probably somewhere in between. But I get the expression. That's what I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. This says Roger. Other than Silva, we have no leaders at the back. I think
they're young.
Yeah, we don't need scientists to tell us that.
They're
That's
young.
something we've talked about for 1,000 years. Let's see. Roger Zuma is elite only when he plays with leaders like Terry. Otherwise, he's not good without leaders. I think you could argue that he's prone to some, you can say, weird mistakes, high-profile mistakes. Kai was last season's top scorer. Okay, I didn't know. With how many goals? I think, was it 7 goals?
7 or 8.
No, it was Raheem Sterling who was the top scorer.
Okay, I hope the supporters turn on the board rather than Poch. It doesn't change anything. It's okay, Coach. I understand it's early. You just back from break, so you think I'm still maybe hasn't dawned on me that maybe I can. I don't know how else to come across effectively. You know what I like? We come here, talk all about our problems, but come game time, we all are blue. Yeah, that's the thing. We all support Chelsea. Very passionate about, again, the club we all love dearly. Let's see what else we have here. Roger, you're realistic, Roger. That's who Roger is and will always be. Andrew Phillips, Bournemouth is going to use West Ham, and Nottingham Forest is Nottingham Forest tactics against us. Shocking, isn't it? We knew that after the West Ham game that every mid-table and bottom-table team would do that. The owners of following scouts, a sporting director, instructions and signings, I wouldn't blame them. And we have a structure in place, just like as Roger said. And Constantine, that's a tap-in, by the way, because Roger already said that. Big up to you too.
Sorry to buy. Just a quick question for you guys, yeah? There's been rumours about Mario Modric getting sold in January. Do you believe that in a way? Because I don't think he's getting sold at all.
No, I don't think we're selling. Honestly, let me just save you your energy. I don't think Chelsea are selling him. I think he'll come good. Big up to you too, JC. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for finding the time to join us. Why do you think Vivell left? I don't know. Maybe Vivell wants us to follow the Red Bull model, and we refuse. So if you can come up with the reason why you think he left, then I would tell him maybe we didn't like the Red Bull model that much. We just want to do only the good things they've done. So since again, I don't know really. That's just my opinion. But
Phil left, coach, because he weren't getting the structure of the job properly, and they weren't getting. He wanted to be like the Arteta, the Laura Martinez.
From what I heard, what I read during that period that he left was that he wants everything to go through him. And
but and
the owners refuses. We have a structure. Yeah. You have to. These guys have to be involved, not just about you. I think that's the issue. So because I heard that he argued that he doesn't understand his role. So probably because he wasn't the sole decision maker, that was an issue for him. But we move on. I'm going to read the highlights from the manager's press conference, or presser if you prefer. So if you're in the chat, you let us know, do you think we're good enough, or do you think we're not good enough? Whatever you believe, let us know why you think so, why you think we'll finish come the end of the season. One of the highlights is this: Mauricio Pochettino alluded to playing Ben Chilwell on the wing due to injuries. I think we've concluded that was the case. We've seen one of the first reports we read here talked about that injuries has led to him playing Ben Chilwell in that position. But to me, the question is, but we have traditional wingers. I just don't understand. It just doesn't make sense to me. In our wide areas, we have Sterling, Madueke, and Mudryk, exactly. And for the central areas, we have Enzo Fernandez, Casado, Gallagher, Ugochukwu, and Palmer, who can also drift wide. I'm getting confused even more. Just give me 1 second. Let me see what else we have there. Coming back to this, it says who can also drift wide. Is there any need to continue Chile at left wing back at this stage? I say no. It just doesn't make sense. I think we have numbers, but I'm not going to go into that. Beyond that, we have also one more highlight from there. I think we have a few more. Mauricio Pochettino was asked about his record of not winning a Premier League away game in his last 13 attempts. People have time to go dig up all this stuff. Is this something that disappoints him? It doesn't worry me. Every game is a must-win. He also suggests he's calm about his away record. Roger, you have anything to add to that? I don't know how they dig these things up.
I don't know. Who knows?
Is that actually Pochettino come out of that though? Because I don't think with Chelsea Dodgers comes up with things, where's he getting all this storylines from Pochettino? Because for the press conference the other day, if you actually listened to Pochettino's interview, Roger and coach, they was asking about the players' structure. Why is Ben Chilwell playing on that left wing? And he came out with that Mudryk and Nuno Madueke at the time before the season weren't ready to play because they weren't fully fit with their health wear. And I've been saying this all along, right? Like this is what I always say, because people make stories up on the basis where Mudryk was fully fit. If he's on the bench, and he's on the bench, he should be starting. But no, he was on the bench against Liverpool and came on for the less minutes so he could try and get his regenerative fitness. And after he was injured for at least 6 days. Thing is, Pochettino knows these players why if they're not ready to play or why they're not ready to start, because there might be something we don't know in the background with their health issues and why they're mentally not fit enough to start regular football. So, as we come why Ben Chilwell played on that left wing side, that's because he said there weren't really any. Well, he wanted to put Raheem Sterling there, but Nuno Madueke and Mudryk, they're only the wingers what he's got in that attack, weren't fully fit, and that's what he came out in the press conference on the other day. What was they're talking about the Bournemouth game. So people have to realise and look up what Pochettino in an interview, what he's saying. Once Mudryk's ready and fully fit, he will put the formation back to the way it is, where he'll have Chilwell back at left back. But for a minute, if they're not ready to start games, then we can't moan about it. I just don't get why Chelsea Dodgers coming out with this statement. Like, I just don't think it's like he hasn't really actually listened to Pochettino's interview.
Yeah, let's hear you, Roger. Do you want me to go back to that particular report, Roger? Thank you, Dan, for that contribution.
Yeah, sure.
You want me to go back to it?
Yes, please.
I think it's the same thing we're concerned about. We said also, it says, I think it's this particular one. This one here. I said, how do people dig up these things? If you want to speak on that, you go ahead.
Oh, you're talking about not winning in the last 13
Which one? Which
away
one of
attempts.
them? We read two things. One is this one asking questions. Is there any reason why Chilwell should still be playing as wing back? Because the numbers here mentioned how many people capable of playing in that position. So it just doesn't make sense him arguing that he has to play Chilwell in that position because we have injury. The injury we have actually, he's mentioning Nkunku. I think he's referencing Nkunku. But Nkunku isn't a winger traditionally, in my opinion. But go ahead, Roger. Whichever one you want to talk about. If you want to talk about his record in Tatuna terms, when that's a concern really for me. But I'm not going to dwell on it too much. I think he's at Chelsea now. But you go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, listen. I am a bit concerned about Chile playing there. I really am. That does concern me. As for not winning the last 13 games, I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm more concerned about our squad now, not so much history, because his past record is really irrelevant because of the fact it's not pertinent to this squad. This is a new squad, new players. Okay, these are the very early stages in his coaching this squad. So, listen, we're going to have to be patient. It's that simple. It's really that simple.
Yeah, we have to. So you're not too concerned about his away record?
I'm concerned about many things that's going on in Chelsea right now, namely, the way we're conceding goals, the way that we're missing chances, etc., etc. The way we're dissected sometimes through the midfield. But there's many things that I'm concerned with. To say I'm not concerned would be somewhat incorrect. But yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned with many things. This is by no means a perfect team. Look where we are. We're 12th because we are not able to capitalize on our opponent's mistakes, whereupon our opponents have been able to capitalize on ours. So, in addition to the amount of injuries, etc., it's not the perfect storm for us, is it? This is not the start we wanted, and it's only going to get worse. You know, unless because October, if you look at October's fixtures, they're coming thick and fast, and it doesn't read well for us. So we're just going to have to weather the storm. As I said, hypothetically, if we don't get points or maximum points against Bournemouth, it's only going to ratchet up. So listen, this fan base,
the longer it goes without us winning again, the more problem it becomes.
The fan base is very impatient, and rightfully or wrongfully so. Who knows? But I just want to see us progress, you know, with the on-field product. And eventually, one would think that once these players return bit by bit, that we become more cohesive and more efficient. If not, then, you know what? The project will fail. It's that simple.
All right. Will the team be better in the box next season when Fofana plays every game? Sorry, Dan. I'm not sure what you're saying there. So let me move on. Vivel didn't like that our canteen was putting sugar in his morning espresso coffee, and he had to see Lukaku every time when he went to collect his espresso. Let's see what else we have here. There's some sarcastic read. There's some sarcastic read between the lines in a both statement. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I understood that. Let's say, Coach, not everyone likes Enzo and Caicedo. I know that. There are people that didn't want us to sign both. One of those, Constantine Dante in the chat didn't want us to sign Enzo. He wanted us to go one of Toronto. There's another player he wanted us to go for them. Social media is not the real world. Yeah, we will sell Mudryk if he doesn't want to be here, and Poch not playing him doesn't like him. Mudryk might say, I want to leave. Exactly. If he gets to a point he sees that the manager don't trust him that much, and continues to play, you can say, Chilwell in the wing back position, then he will probably ask to leave. Roger, Arsenal and Liverpool have a low threat, yet they are a threat. Why are we the exception? Expecting defenders to win you games. That's not Roger's argument.
Arsenal were the fifth highest scoring team from set pieces, from corner kicks or set pieces last year. So I think you can't include that's incorrect. And then Liverpool, they're always dominant aerially. I don't know where you get that impression from.
Yeah, so if you're watching, I've asked the question, what do you think? Again, do you think we're good enough? Do you think we're not good enough? What do you think? You put it in you put it put it in the chat there. It'd be interesting to see what you think. Cucurella, what is ChatGPT doing on your desktop? Did you fire Jerry? I do use ChatGPT GPT for workflow. It makes it easier. Just put the title, say, help me write a good title. It does it for you. Really, it makes the workflow easier. I'm not gonna lie, but that's just on the screen here. On the screen there, what you saw was just a promo. It looks more like it. Is that a promo? Actually, not really a promo. It's somebody sharing how he, what is it called? I'm not gonna waste my time on that.
I've actually used ChatGPT. It's actually quite impressive.
It is. You can say. I think a lot of people will not have a job in a few years.
Yeah, no, I agree. AI. Yeah.
I think it's got some problems. It's got some problems in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, I actually.
What do you think? Sorry, guys. Do you think if we don't get the 3 points against Bournemouth, right? We got, like you say, October is a big shock coming to us. We got like the big names, like the big games, like Man United, Arsenal, in that category. Yeah, we've got Newcastle United in that category. I think Aston Villa, you see Aston Villa bought some good side. If we don't start producing 3 points in a game, because that one with the 13 Dodgers said about away games from Pochettino, I think Pochettino's like the thing, he don't care, he just wants to win games, yeah? If we don't win against Bournemouth or start getting 3 points, do you think by the end of the season we could be struggling to be like relegation battle?
I don't think so. I don't think we'll be in a relegation battle this season. I think we'll have a much better season than last season. How better? I don't know, really. Rich, I don't know if you want to add that to that. Let's catch up and round off as soon as we can.
I just want to ask you guys a quick question. How long do you think Poch is given? Does he last the season?
I think everything comes down to how well the club's performance at the end of the season. I don't think it's defined, honestly.
My opportunity on that, coach, yeah, what I asked Roger's question is, yeah, if I don't think Pochettino will get sacked, I think he will walk from the job. Because if you notice from the start, from the interviews, he was crying out for experienced players, and he never got really hardly back from the signings this season. We can't say that these players, what they're coming to the squad now, that they are Pochettino signings, because they're not. But in a way, he has like a 2 year plus 1 year contract to be successful to do what at Chelsea. I'm thinking if we don't get the players what he needs in his system on his project, I don't think he'll get sacked. I think he'll walk out the job, Roger. I don't
think he'll walk out. I think he's actually happy with what he has, according to him.
Do you know what? Do you know why I don't think he walks out? Because of the fact he's worked with Southampton and Tottenham before, where he was never backed financially, not even close. We have spent in this last window more than the previous 11 transfer windows he had with Tottenham. He knows that he will be backed. So
we have the talent.
Yes.
So I think he'll be all right. Just let's catch up here. The problem is that the results are still the same. So everyone thinks, why not just play people in their natural positions? I don't think the structure and where people played you can say are the reasons why we're not doing as well as a lot of people expect us to be doing. But the argument, you can say it's valid when, again, it's a valid argument to say, yeah, but maybe if we had more offensive players on the pitch, would score more goals. But I get where you're coming from. Cannot shoot, cannot do anything. A true blue. Clay, always nice to see you. Also, Pochettino's decisions during the games have been questionable. Having only 2-3 attackers when you're trailing some of the subs. Yeah, questionable. I agree with you. So if you're watching, I've asked a question. Do you think we're good enough? If you think we are, let us know why you think so. If you think we're not, let us know why you think so. Let's see what else we have here. Keep dropping the likes on the stream. People, the likes that do go along with the person name calling others doesn't speak his own name. Let's see. Dante didn't want Enzo. Who? Yeah, Dante didn't want Enzo. Yeah. Not Enzo. I didn't want Enzo. I think if I remember well, I think Dante didn't want Casado. That's the one I can recall. Poch will get at least 2 years. And I think he'd do well enough that they give him another year. Garden of sorts. Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding the time to join the show here. And this says just people having a conversation there. Let's see. It's a project, and that's what it is. The tough run of games during the next 8 weeks will make or break a Poch's tenure. I am not saying that Chelsea Football Club will fire him. He is very competent. The problem will be the fans. I think I agree with you. The negativity is worrying, and especially when a content creators preach negativity. That's how I like to phrase it. It doesn't help because they have followers who listen to them, who you could say just and they should be educating them on how to be objective and not just I don't know, not be realistic. It just doesn't help.
That's the problem, coach, because half our fan base now wants Pochettino out. In 4 games in,
That's
half
always
our
going to
fan base
happen.
want him out already.
We discussed this prior to the season started because of his Tottenham connection. That was always going to be an issue.
Oh yeah, but right now I don't think there's so much an issue. I think people's right now. I wouldn't say a lot of people don't want him out. I wouldn't go to that extent. I think people's are questioning the structure that we've used in the first 4 games of the season, and Chilwell playing in the wing back playing as left wing. That's not too many people are saying Poch out at this point.
Dan,
The fixture, yeah, and we even tested that with a poll. And the poll came back, I think 70+% said in that particular poll that it's too early. Only 20+ are saying Poch out.
May I ask, Coach, very briefly, Dan, when we hired Poch, what were your thoughts? So are you pleased he's our coach, or do you want someone else?
I don't care if he's Timbuktu. Long as the person comes to our club, does the job for Chelsea, winning us games, as long as he's there to do the job, I'm happy. I'm not one of these guys. Pochettino, he was at Tottenham. Oh, why is he at Chelsea? I'm not like that. I know Pochettino, right? People say Pochettino's not an elite manager, okay, coach, and Roger, yeah. But if you look in the situation with Pochettino when he was at Southampton, he made players as quality elite players.
I totally agree.
Like Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Wanyama, right? He made the Son, he made the Harry Kane, Dele Alli. He made him as a world super talent, right? He made all these players quality, yeah? So, no matter what, if he's at Chelsea Football Club, as long as you're doing something right at our club, I'm happy. If you're not, then there's an ex-manager who could do the job over the line. But for me, with Pochettino, yeah, people say he's a Tottenham manager. Well, he's not actually a Tottenham manager. He doesn't support Tottenham. But his interview came out, the facts, before the facts he came, said that Chelsea's always been a winning club and then the biggest club in history. Yeah, that win trophies, yeah. So I'm not Poch out. I just want to see my eyes in my positions, yeah. if you actually look when Roma Abramovich, yeah, and managers we got sacked, and half of the managers never actually stayed at the club for 3 years, yeah. And look how many trophies we got. If Roman kept the manager half of the period of time, we probably got more trophies in our cabinet than this. Fair enough, Roman. I love Roman for what he's done within the peripheral years, yeah. Right? We had 4 managers last season sacked, yeah. But they say 4. But the guy who did Liverpool, he ain't really a manager. So you say Pochettino, Thomas Tuchel, Potter, and Lampard, right? Lampard didn't get sacked. He was just there at the end of the season, right? Where I see in this project of the mind of these new owners, they made a mistake. Pochettino's the man for the job, and to the fan base of our fan base are recently spoiled. They just want to win games every single game after win trophies. But my eyes in this new with the different ownership now, yeah, we can't be spoiled. So no matter if Pochettino does successful well at a club, I can see him making players be into a talent, but it's just going to take time. So I'm not fussed whatever it is, Roger. You know what I mean? I'm not one of these guys. Oh, I didn't want Pochettino in. When I first did when I texted you, didn't I? Remember that, Coach? Couple of months back, me and Coach were talking, yeah, because we was talking about my YouTube, situation, my self-confidence and that, yeah. And we were talking about Poch when we coached. Remember that? Yeah. And I said to Coach, yeah, no matter if Pochettino comes in, I think he'd be a great successful stuff to do with his players. I might win us the Premier League, but it will just take time, Roger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
all right, thank you for that. Pochettino is a good coach, says Raphael, but has a terrible eye for talent. Luckily, Sports and Southampton didn't sign his players, but made him develop the club players. Wow, some argument right there. We'll see how this one goes. I hope ours will go well. Poch was hired to play attractive football and develop players, young players. Wasn't he? I don't know whether they hired him specifically for that, or whether they hire him to develop young players. But I'd say the latter, to develop young players and not to just to play attractive football. Let's see. I cannot believe people blame Poch already. Our players are not good enough. I feel sorry for Poch. For me, let's just go through what we have here. Mauricio Pochettino has said he wants his Chelsea team to be more aggressive and nuttier. He likes to use the term nutty. I think I remember the last time I heard him say that was when he talked about Dele Alli, when he's used, you could say, if my memory serves me right, he said nutty Dele Alli will regain form, something to that effect. Mauricio Pochettino confirms that Trevoh Chalobah still in his plan. Why wouldn't he? He's a good defender, and I've always argued that. I get it. People will take whatever they hear out there and run with it, arguing that the club are pushing Chelsea are pushing him out. Mauricio Pochettino, the only thing we are missing is to score goals. But if we keep playing this way, we can be competitive. I think I agree with that one. Then, we are playing well, but we need to be more competitive. By our feeling, okay, my feeling is bad. He explains Chelsea need to be more aggressive when talking about the lack of competitiveness. To increase our level. It's about doing it to compete. Mauricio Pochettino says Nicolas Jackson performance was good against Forest, and only issue was that he didn't score. Adds that he's still positive and says it's only a matter of time before the goals start to come. It's very short. Like Mauricio Pochettino said, it is very short. The squad is very short. I'm not sure what to make of that. We are going to face Bournemouth with 14, 15 players. Now, it's important to recover players to be more competitive. For sure, we will be in a European competition next season. We need to believe in quality. I think we have the talent, but he has to do his job. Mauricio Pochettino confirms Enzo Fernandez is back today. He's good, and he thinks he will be ready. Moises Caicedo needs to be checked, but suggests he should be fine. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else to talk about here today. Your mind is awful. I think my mind is good. Good day to you, to Ryan Winter. I hope you are well, mate. I can't complain. Geez, we need a win to lift the spirit. We do need that. I think I agree with you. The negativity is concerning. The abuse being thrown at players, team after just 4 games is sad. These pressure is not helpful to anyone. So, Roger, I'm going to come to you. Anything else you want to talk about before we round up? I think we've tried our best. It's a slow day. We have 48 licenses, 2 more to get it to 50. And yeah, I think that's fine, given the fact, things are slowed down the moment the transfer window shuts. Plus, we haven't streamed in a few days. But go ahead, Roger. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next few weeks. Trying to see how we perform against Bournemouth, and just hoping no more additions are added to our injury list. That's it. That's I think we just have to be patient instead of being too trigger happy as a fan base. It's that simple, but that's not going to change.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roger. I think I have to call it a day. I can hear my boy calling me. Probably his mom has gone downstairs to exercise, so he's alone in the room. So I appreciate you all finding the time to join the show. I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you to Roger for finding the time to join. Thank you to Dan for finding the time to join. Dan, I'll try to add your information to the description section later. And I want to say,
big up to you, my brother, man. Up the Chelsea.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Up the Chelsea, Roger and all, mate. Up the Chelsea.
Cheers.
Thank you. And Courtney just joined the Lateness is Greatness. Sad truth, Chelsea is not going to be at the top for a while. Not the same club like before. Courtney, nice to see you. I appreciate you. And Eugene, nice to see you. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. JC, Constantine Dante, always nice to see you. I appreciate you joining in. Ryan Winter, Chimera, everyone else. I appreciate you all. And Guardian of Swords, I cannot thank you guys enough. See you guys next time. God bless us all. And cheers.
Cheers.